Ready? Ready? Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Scottsdale Unified School District Number 48 Governing Board. Today is February 13th, 2024, and the time is 6 p.m. Board Member Sanowski, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Can I please have a roll call vote starting from my far right?
Amy Carney.
Julie Sanowski.
And I think we have President Hartwell in the cloud.
Yes, present.
Okay.
Present.
We can follow up more, but you get kind of where I'm coming from. Like,
Board
we're in a
Member
very
Warner,
tough
are you
place. You know what I mean? Like, if we don't, we don't move forward with Mark.
Well, we will start with.
Libby Hartwells, I'm here.
No, but Board Member Warner. Board Member Warner, are you there?
To undertake this, or put the team together and supporting to do it correctly and make us better. Because
We have 4 board members
we're in a very difficult
and we have a quorum.
I am present.
Oh, I know, President Hartwell.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Moving on to 2D, approval of the agenda. I have one request to pull item 8J. Are there any other requests? I move to approve the agenda as amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
Board Member Sanowski seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 I
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Moving on to item 2E, meeting decorum. Citizens attending and or participating in Scottsdale Unified School District meetings, either in person, virtually, or telephonically, are required to observe the same rules of order and decorum applicable to members of the governing board and staff. Unauthorized remarks or demonstrations from members of the audience, yells, outbursts, and or other disruptions are not permitted. So with that, we will move to student staff recognitions and celebrations. Dr. Menzel?
Good evening, Vice President Lindsay and members of the governing board, those who are in person and those who are in the cloud. We have 3 terrific celebrations of student achievement to share with you this evening. We'll start with Dr. David Praniski, our Director of State and Federal Programs, and Dr. Kim Dodds-Karen, our Director of Teaching and Learning. And they're going to kick things off for us, ESTA NOCHE, or TONIGHT. Dr. Praniski and Dr. Dodds-Karen.
First off, we'd like to invite Kat Hughes, principal of Echo Canyon School.
Oh, the microphone's not on.
Thank you. I'd like to invite up Principal Kat Hughes from Echo Canyon with 8th grade student Adrian, if you could come up as well. Members of the board, President Hartwells, Vice President Lindsay, Dr. Menzel, Mrs. Wagner, and community. Tonight we are excited to celebrate District Spelling Bee winners for both the SUSD Spanish Spelling Bee and the District Scripps Spelling Bee. We'll begin with our Spanish Spelling Bee celebration. This is our 2nd year hosting the SUSD Spanish Spelling Bee. I want to give special thanks to Wendy Diozzi, our World Languages Coordinator, and our ELD specialists, our Spanish teachers as well, for helping coordinate the bee and student participation this year. Scottsdale Middle School students, grades 6-8, were invited to participate in this year's bee, and we had 18 students move forward to the final bee, hosted this past January. After several competitive rounds, we declared un ganador, a winner. Alongside Principal Hughes from Echo Canyon, will you please put your hands together to celebrate Echo Canyon 8th grader Adrian Fernando Alvarado Padilla. Felicidades a Adrian y su familia. Congratulations to Adrian, his family, and the Echo Canyon staff. Adrian was showcased in SUSD's February Source magazine and will receive an SUSD Challenge Coin tonight. Congratulations again, Adrian. And next up, we'd like to invite Dr. Dodds Karen, who will now present our district winner for the Scripps Spelling Bee. Felicidades.
Thank you, Dr. Praninsky. At this time, I'd like to invite Nina Bhatia to the podium from Kokopah Middle School and her principal and assistant principal. If you both can come up as well, that would be great. Nina. Hi. Nice to see you. Yeah, come stand right here and look out at our governing board. Spelling bees are a great American tradition that helps students improve oral and written literacy skills and build self-confidence. Each year, more than 480,000 students from around Arizona take part in the classroom, school, district, region, and county spelling bees, all leading to the Arizona State Spelling Bee. From Megaron to Indemnity and Sravaka and Abstemious, Nina, an 8th grade student at Kokopah Middle School, has represented her school and Scottsdale Unified School District beautifully. Over the past 2 months, she has been working very hard. It all started back in December with her school spelling bee. Then in January, she downed 23 fellow SUSD spellers to take the district's spelling bee crown. We didn't give you a crown, but we gave you a trophy. We should give you a crown next time. Last week, she succeeded in knocking off all but the final 3 contestants in the Region 2 Spelling Bee, which was hosted right here at Coronado High School. Nina reads, and she reads, and she reads everything. She gives credit to her mom. Mom, if you are here, stand up. And if that's Dad next to you, Dad too. She gives Mom a lot of credit for helping to prepare her so well. Even in this day of spell check programs and AI, there is no substitute for knowing root words, languages of origin, definition, and alternate pronunciation of words. Does that sound familiar? It's all part of being a scholar, which Nina clearly is. Congratulations, Nina, and please accept this challenge coin, another token of our pride for you from SUSD. I also want to thank our SUSD Foundation. The SUSD Foundation provides generous gift donations to us that allow us to pay the Scripps registration fees for all of our schools so that our students can participate. They also help us with our medals and our trophies that we award to our students. I also want to thank our teaching and learning team comprised of our judges and our staff for both the district and regional spelling bee, and especially our pronouncer, Jonna Wallace. For those of you, I know Board Member Carney, Board Member Sanowski, you were able to attend. Jonna is focused. She is just locked in when she is our pronouncer, and a lot of the success of our students is because of wonderful pronunciation. So many thanks to Jonna Wallace for leading our district and regional bee, and also to Lupita Calisi, who is our one of our translators who led the Spanish spelling bee as the pronouncer. But we are so proud of you, Nina. Congratulations, and also congratulations to Kokopah. Great to have this representation.
Congratulations, Nina and Adrian. We know it takes a lot of work to compete at that level as a speller, and we also know that your families were a big part of the preparation. We want to thank the parents for supporting their students in this endeavor. As you're probably aware, SUSD fully embraces the challenges and academic rigor students are presented with by being part of school robotics programs. In fact, at the high school level, it is a 4-credit elective. In the lower grades, robotics are an after-school club activity, and that's where the excitement first starts. Tonight, we'd like to introduce you to our award-winning robotics club from Echo Canyon School. Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education, Dr. Melissa Sakos, will introduce them to all of you.
Do I see some robots in the house? Let's hear it. There they are, front and center. Good evening, President Hart-Wells, Vice President Lindsay, Governing Board members, and Dr. Menzel. I would like to invite back to the podium the remarkable Principal Hughes. our teacher leader Kay King, and assistant principal Aaron Cadera. And how about we bring up the Roarbots as well? Yeah. Oh, okay. Am I ruining it? No. All right. Does the Roarbots want to stand in front of the podium here? There it is. Oh, there he comes.
That's it.
Yay. So welcome, Roarbots. Meet the governing board and the whole room full of people who are here to share in your recent success. You can turn around and look at them and look at everybody. Wave. First LEGO League, or FLL as it's called, is the introductory level in the first robotics organization competition robotics program. It introduces science, technology, engineering, and math, better known as STEM, to children ages 4 through 14 through fun, exciting, hands-on learning. Participants gain real-world problem-solving experiences through guided global robotics programming, inspiring youth to experiment and grow their critical thinking, coding, and designs through hands-on STEM learning and robotics. The Roarbots, under the direction of art teacher Kay King, competed valiantly to qualify for the state championships held last month at ASU. They impressed the judges with their enthusiasm and for having made, in their words, significant progress in their confidence and capability. And understanding what they discover is more important than what they win. For that, the Robots received the State FLL Competition's Breakthrough Award. And the best part of this team of 4th, 5th, and 6th graders works hard and they have fun. They must, because their interactive project at the state tournament was a slime tent. Let's take a look at that look at that. All right, does anybody want to tell us about that? That slime tent? All right, come on up. Let's tell about the slime tent.
The slime booth was a fully immersive experience to encourage people to like slime more than they already do. We had edible slime for taste. We had scented slime that was scented chocolate, passion fruit, and peppermint for smell. For sight and hearing, we had a ASMR video and a video on how to make slime. And for touch, we had 4 different slimes that you can play with.
All right, did you want to tell them your name?
My name's Aria Scordo.
All right, well, I'm going to have to check that out the next time at Echo Canyon because that sounds really exciting, and hopefully I can have a taste test of that slime. I'm looking forward to it. Congratulations to our Roarbots and Mrs. King. Okay, Roarbots, don't leave yet. I have what we call some challenge coins, and this is to mark your amazing accomplishments, and you can remember this night. All right. Congratulations.
Can I just say also, I have a fabulous co-coach, Mr. Scott Harvey, retired PE teacher, who I've been working with on LEGO for over 11 years. So.
Thank you. You're welcome. 2 of our next 3 students are well acquainted with competitive robotics, and the other one, an outstanding artist. Please welcome the following members of SUSD's class of 2024: Chloe Gredis from Chaparral High School, Nikhil Sethi from Saguaro High School, and Jake Weiss, also from Saguaro High School. Please join me at the podium. Right. I'd like to introduce you to Scottsdale Unified School District's finalists in the 2024 Flynn Scholarship Competition. In fact, they comprise of 1/12 of the 36 outstanding high school seniors from around Arizona, and will interview next month with the Flynn Foundation Scholarship Committee. They have already succeeded in making the cut from more than 1,000 applicants, and last month were among 80 semifinalists were announced. I don't want to get you nervous, but I don't know. I'm getting a little nervous. This is some serious stuff. What's at stake? Only funding for tuition, housing, meals, and study abroad, valued at more than $130,000. Whoa. And enrollment in the honors colleges at ASU, NAU, or the University of Arizona in the fall. That's all. What makes Chloe, Nikhil, and Jake stand out? Just listen to these excerpts from college recommendation letters written by their guidance counselors. Chloe has been an SUSD student since her freshman year. Here's what Carrie Board, her counselor, had to say about her. Chloe Gredis has a brilliant scientific mind, immense creative artistic talent, is compassionate and kind, possesses excellent ethics and morals, is a natural leader, puts her heart and soul in all she sets out to accomplish. And she is always smiling when I see her. Science and art are her passions, and I have no doubt she will change the world one day with her diverse talents. Science Olympiad has and continues to be the gemstone of her high school careers. I wish there were more Chloes in the world. Very sweet. I'm gonna go and do that. At Saguaro, Donna Whitwer advises both Nikhil and Jake. Nikhil has been an SUSD student since the 4th grade, having attended Copper Ridge before heading to Saguaro, and he is no stranger to the podium. Here's what his counselor had to say about Nikhil. Nikhil is not only an exemplary student, but he is also a gifted scholar and excellent communicator. Nikhil is one of the most generous, kind-hearted, and passionate students I have worked with. His leadership skills include identifying problems and listening to different perspectives, working with others to find solutions, and being able to plan and execute ideas for change. Nikhil truly values helping others and looks for many ways to lead. Now, Jake. Jake is what we called an SUSD lifer. He has been enrolled with us since kindergarten, having attended Cheyenne Traditional School through the 8th grade. His advisor had this to say about Jake. My experience with Jake is that he is a very self-confident, self-disciplined young man who is a hard worker, likes to learn new things and understand new concepts well, and is creative and imaginative. He's a natural leader, as evidenced by the many activities he is involved in. In addition, Jake has learned the importance of building relationships with people to lead them and looks for opportunities, both at school and in the community, to serve others. He is an award-winning musician, is an excellent problem solver, and does not let obstacles stop him. Both Jake and Nikhil are the backbones of the Saguaro's robotics team. Among the many other attributes this trio shares are the challenging coursework they're taking as seniors, classes like AP English 4, Literature and Composition, Honors Calculus 2, Differential Equations, Advanced Placement, Macroeconomics, Honors Robotics, Advanced Vocal Ensemble, Advanced Placement Drawing. So much for trying to skate through your senior year. And no senioritis for you. I wish I had more time to celebrate these truly remarkable seniors. Whatever happens with the Flynn scholarships, which will be announced in April, please stand and help us show Chloe, Nikhil, and Jake what we think of them, not only for their many, many achievements so far, but also for the great things this world will receive for them in the future. Congratulations to our Flynn Scholarship finalists.
Congratulations, Chloe, Nikhil, and Jake.
Okay, back to you, Dr. Menzel. If I
Yes,
didn't
thank
say
you.
that. You're welcome.
Well, we do hope that you'll win and stay in the state of Arizona, but we're very proud of how far you've made it and look forward to hearing about the next steps. We have a couple of less formal recognitions to share with you this evening as well. First off, I have great news from the world of SUSD Fine Arts. Late last month, as a result of challenging audition process, 106 of our school musicians were named to participate in regional honor bands, choirs, and orchestras. These auditions are really difficult tests of musicianship. Students go into what is called a blind audition, meaning that a screen separates the student and the judge. They perform major and minor scales, 3 technical etudes, and sight read an excerpt. As a result, 6 students from Arcadia High School, 41 from Chaparral, 4 from Coronado, 19 from Desert Mountain, and 36 from Saguaro will rehearse and perform a concert with their regional peers later this month. SUSD's group of 106 is 57 more than saw success at the regional level last year. What's more, all of our regional competing students now qualify to audition in March for the All-State Band, Orchestra, and Choir. We are so happy and proud of this outstanding group of high school musicians, and if we can give them a round of applause as well as express appreciation to Michelle Irvin for all the work she does to help coordinate all this. I also see that Navajo Principal Matt Patzlaff is in the room. Navajo's third grade classes have made it to the round of 32 in the NCAA's Read to the Final Four program, and they continue to read up a storm. Our Buffaloes have contributed to the more than 13 million reading minutes that have been amassed so far by the 68 schools that started in the competition. The competition Sweet 16 will be announced tomorrow, so go Navajo. And finally, several SUSD schools, including Navajo, have been recognized by the Parada del Sol Organizing Committee for their entries in the 70th annual Parada that took place the weekend before last. I'm happy to report the following awards. Coronado High School, Hometown Favorite Award. Desert Canyon Middle School, Best School Band Award. Our Panda program was recognized as the best first-time entry. Navajo, We've Got Spirit, Yes We Do Award. And finally, since I see a lot of my friends from Yavapai received the Judge's Choice Award. We're told that an estimated 30,000 people lined the streets of Old Town Scottsdale for this year's Parada. It was wonderful to be able to share our school and students with our hometown and visitors to the valley. It's also a perfect day for a parade, unlike the weekend we had for the Open. The pair of Percheron horses that pulled our wagon was amazing. I want to thank my steadfast banner-carrying partner, Dr. Christine Bono, for setting a brisk pace as we walked through Old Town. And I want to then turn the agenda back over to Vice President Lindsay.
Thanks, Dr. Menzel. Before we go further, I just want to note that Board Member Werner is now in the cloud, and we have all 5 board members. So with that, we're going to move to 4A, Special Presentation, Student Advisory Board 2023-2024, presentation on Arcadia High School, Chaparral High School, Coronado High School, Desert Mountain High School, Saguaro High School, and Scottsdale Online.
Each month, we look forward to, or several times throughout the year at least, welcoming our Student Advisory Board members and leaders to provide an update to the Governing Board. We'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, Vice President Lindsay, Governing Board, and audience. Student Advisory Board is here to give you an update on our progress this year so far, and that progress includes Teen Town Hall that was held at Chaparral High School at the end of January, the MLK celebration dinner, and our subcommittee progress. So Chaparral held our Teen Town Hall in late January. We had a great turnout for Chaparral during lunch and had some great questions being asked. A couple of the key takeaways and questions included final exams and how, as Chaparral, we're not allowed to have presentations only as final exams and why that was the case. Safety as a priority at SUSD. Perfect, thank you. graduation regalia, nutritional service, and how to improve our nutritional services, and how we can continue to improve our bathrooms and keep them open and reduce vandalism. At the MLK dinner, I had the opportunity to attend this wonderful event that is held every year in Scottsdale. Me, along with other members of SAB, had a wonderful time listening to the keynote speaker and celebrating the diversity champions this year. So now time for our subcommittee updates. The first is climate and culture.
Hello, my name is Fiona Riley, and I'll be presenting climate and culture for SAB. So our first update for this committee is that the security guards have been trained on MTSS to try and improve the student idea of security on campus. And then another benefit of that is the restorative training that's going to be offered for interested SAB members. This is all in an effort to improve the climate in our high schools and all throughout our district. Thank you.
Hello, board members. My name is Ella Walter-Sanchez, and I go to Arcadia High School. For communications, we had some feedback regarding Student Square, our new communications system, and that feedback has been relayed back to the operation members of Student Square, and also Student Advisory Board articles are going to be included in the source next March.
Hi, I'm Nick Sethi, and I'm from Saguaro High School. For the technology subcommittee, we've been discussing assistive technology and focusing in special education. There's a lot of students who require certain adaptations in the classroom and who have different needs are either being met or have different ways that need to be met. So we are looking in with student groups and at each of the different schools to figure out what different advancements can be made and what we can recommend to the board and to the superintendent to make it more welcoming for those students who need those certain adaptations. And then we also had a small concern and have continued and have been trying to work on the blocked websites under the SUSD Wi-Fi. So we've been trying to figure out how we can get around those obstacles so that more things are accessible to both students and teachers, especially when it comes to academic material, because there are some things that have been essential for class learning and for curriculums that have been blocked. Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Claire Joe. I'm from Chaparral High School. So safety and security worked a bit with climate and culture this time around to discuss security guards being a bit assertive in their enforcement of rules. So we decided that through training that they would work with students to have more of a positive environment and also include more training with students with IEPs and 504 plans. And then there is also an MTSS to ensure positive interactions between security staff and students. We noticed that there's an increase in bathroom vandalism, and so we decided that there should be an increase in hallway monitoring and limiting the number of students in the restroom at one time. And we've noticed that many students lose out on instructional time due to IDs and not being able to get into school physically in the mornings because, like, let's say you forgot your ID one time. So security is working on a system improvement for next year. Thank you.
Thank you for time, and please ask away any questions that you have.
Do any board members have any questions or comments? Board Member Carney? It doesn't.
Thank you. I just wanted to know if you would send the governing board all invitation with your schedule of upcoming meetings, because I was able to attend a couple last year, and I thought it was really, really helpful to hear straight from the students about what you're looking for. And so I'd really appreciate it if you would send an invite to the entire governing board. Thank you.
We have a meeting tomorrow, and I will relay that information to the other senators who planned their teen town halls.
Okay, where is tomorrow?
Here.
Here. Okay, thank you.
Board Member Snowski?
Yeah, I just want to share my appreciation for our student leaders in our district. They continue to creatively problem solve, so not just address and identify problems, but also come up with ideas and solutions that'll work on your separate campuses. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Board Member Werner, do you have any questions or comments?
Thank you for your presentation.
President Hart-Wells?
Yes, thank you. Thank you to all of you for being there this evening. I have a question specifically about the ID enforcement, the kind of the unbalanced encroachment on instructional time. Can you speak maybe a little bit more detail to what the status of that conversation is and progress
Yes.
on that front?
Yes, in the morning, if you do not show up to school with your ID, no matter the time or if the bell's rung, you have to go through the office to receive a temporary ID sticker by giving your student ID to ensure safety on our campuses. So if students arrive, though, however, right before that final bell rings, they're not allowed to enter the gates and have to walk all the way around to the office to receive that temporary ID, which in the morning there's quite a few students who forget their ID, and so that line can stack up and the wait can be 5 to 10 minutes. So getting to class 5 to 10 minutes late isn't productive to our learning, so we're trying to figure out ways with safety and security that we can shorten that time period.
And thank you. Do you feel like you're making good progress on this front? I also know some of the classes, if you're more than 10 minutes late, you're counted as absent.
Yes, we're making good progress. This year is the first year that this has been enforced at our high schools. So it's been the first semester has really been our kind of trial run per se. So we are getting better at it and it's getting faster, but we still have some work to be done.
Okay, great. Well, I encourage you to keep on that. It's a very practical issue. I also thank you for taking on the technology, the assistive technology devices, and how out of date they are. I appreciate that. It's very empathetic. It's inclusive. And I think it speaks quite well of your organization and your leadership as a team. Lastly, I will just say I will encourage all of you and your peers to engage on the upcoming Sex Education Committee curriculum adoption. This is something that would directly impact you, and you certainly are part of the public and are invited to join in those committee members just like anybody else. Thank you so much for your leadership, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your presentation.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to move to superintendent's comments. Dr. Menzel?
Thank you, Vice President Lindsay, member of the governing board. Do have a few additional items to share. As you know, February is packed with monthly, weekly, and daily celebrations and of the many people and professions who support not just Scottsdale Unified, but also public education in general. But first, I want to tell you about something that happened last week that is really indicative of what it means to be part of Scottsdale Unified School District. As you recall, a major winter storm descended on Arizona last Thursday, resulting in a cancellation of a trip by 4 of our high school choral groups to snowbound Flagstaff for the annual NAU Jazz Festival. Now, when I left Michigan, I thought I'd never have to worry about another snow day again, but that did not happen to be the case last week. I mean, thankfully, we didn't have to shovel snow, but it did impact the trip. So while that was a great disappointment, what happened next was an example of resilience that's worth celebrating. Our fine arts coordinator, Michelle Irvin, was able to enter the Desert Mountain High School Jazz Choir in an adjudicated performance at Mountain View High School in Mesa on Friday. Coincidentally, the Desert Mountain group was judged by the same judge who would have heard them in Flagstaff, because that judge was not able to get there either because of the storm. Coronado High School was able to submit a recording of its students' performance. The final results will be released on Friday after all of the submissions from similarly impacted districts have been able to submit and be reviewed by the judging panel. So this brings to mind the old adage of making lemonade when life gives you lemons. I want to thank Mrs. Irvin and our choral directors and our patient and talented singers and their parents for understanding the last-minute cancellation of their long-anticipated trip, as well as the work of our public agencies, ADOT and DPS, for making sure they didn't travel on roads that weren't safe. Now, just a few other quick-hitting items. Last Friday, Desert Canyon Elementary School, home to the beginning of SUSD's Mandarin Dual Language Immersion Program, celebrated the Chinese New Year. It was a great event and so wonderful to see how our DLI students embrace and are able to exhibit their learning of the Chinese culture. Lots of tremendous energy on the campus that evening. This past Saturday, our Community Education and Early Learning Department conducted its annual registration event for the 24-25 school year. Families that are still looking for high-quality early learning, preschool and pre-kindergarten programs for the little ones can go to www.susd.org/early learning to find out more. One of the things that our students received was this fantastic Grow with SUSD coloring book, which tells about the various programs within Scottsdale Unified, and more importantly, was illustrated by Jackson Washburn, who is a student at Chaparral High School and will be a recipient of recognition at one of our future board meetings, but a tremendous way to help tell our story and engage the kids. I even got a text from a preschool mom who said the process was smooth and they did receive the coloring book. This Thursday, February 15th, is School Resource Officer Appreciation Day. If any of our SROs are present, can you give a wave? And if not, what I'm going to ask everyone to do is when you see your SRO on campus, please take the time to thank them for the work they do. Scottsdale Unified School District is the beneficiary of a great partnership with Scottsdale Police Department and the Phoenix Police Department, who provide SROs on our campuses. So we want to thank them and recognize them on the 15th. And this Saturday, February 17th, is National PTA Founders Day. While parent-teacher groups have evolved into PTOs and APTs since the National PTA was founded 125 years ago, the mission of all of these organizations are essential to the success of our students, our schools, and public education. All of these groups are devoted to the educational success of children and the promotion of family engagement in schools, and for that, we are most grateful. On the heels of that annual event is Public Schools Week, which will be celebrated the week of February 26th through March 1st. That celebrates the work undertaken every day by the teachers, administrators, support staff, parents, business and community members who support the more than 50 million students who attend U.S. public schools. To close out my comments, I'd like to give one last shout out to our parents, middle and high school students, and SUSD staff, and invite you, if you haven't done so already, to participate in the district's annual climate survey. The survey window closes on Friday, February 16th, so we encourage you to find the invitation in your Parent Square email and be part of the annual internal assessment of the work we do. Your input is vital to our success. And that will conclude my comments.
Thanks, Dr. Menzel. Moving on to public comments. The guidelines for public comment have been shared during the meeting decorum statement and are outlined in Board Policy BEDH. Tonight, we have 7 speakers. When your name is called, please approach the podium, state your first and last name and your association with the district. After that, you will have 2 minutes to address the board, and apologies if I mispronounce anyone's name. First up is Angela Lucero, followed by Jeff Rattay.
Good evening. My name is Angela Lucero. I'm an employee at Ingleside Middle School and also a parent at Yavapai Elementary. Good evening. I am here tonight to express my concern and heartbreak in hearing that the historically free pre-K program at the Title I schools will now have a tuition cost of $800 a block. My daughter was set to enroll in the pre-K program at Yavapai for this upcoming school year, and life was going to be glorious with her being at our neighborhood school with her brother and 1 drop-off and pickup. However, we might be making alternative decisions due to this change. I had not heard any mention of this tuition cost until just recently after I had completed my application. I believe it caught a lot of people off guard, especially those who have always known Title I schools to have free pre-K. I did apply for financial assistance but didn't qualify. It does seem unfair that I would be paying full price while others are free when the ultimate goal here is to provide an equal, world-class education and boost neighborhood school enrollment. Inflation across the board is a real thing, especially when salaries are not increasing to help with the difference. I was happy to hear that the district is honoring employees with a discount, and I'm thankful for that, but the cost is still too high. I am here tonight to not only speak on behalf of myself, but all others who I promoted to and recruited to join. Many are rethinking their commitments to SUSD due to this change. I've spoken with Dr. Bono, who is a wonderful resource in person, as well as Dr. Dave Praninsky, to gain a better understanding of the changes. I know funding is a concern, and because of that, tuition is no longer just for community education programs, but for all programs, including Title I and PANDA. I know there was a previous board meeting to recommend tuition increases within community education programs, but I did not see anything presented about the newly established tuition costs for Title I pre-K programs. Was that clearly presented, and was that voted on and approved? Why are all schools the same cost instead of having a lower amount for Title I schools if there has to be a cost at all? What about a gradual increase instead of going from 0 to 800 in 1 year? Offering half-day pre-K as an option to pay for lower amounts for less time. I do hope the governing board and SUSD as a whole reconsiders budgets and spending to allow title funds to be used for for all students to attend the pre-K programs for free. Title schools offer free breakfast, intervention supports, and resources to all, not just those that qualify financially. This shouldn't be any different. If it has historically been done and been free in the past, I know it can be done again. Please consider your budget spending and allow free pre-K. Thank you.
Jeff Rattay, followed by Katrina Miller.
Dr. Hartwells, this is my 6th or 7th appearance in front of this school board because President Sanowski's idea of leadership is to sweep problems under a rug and hope they go away, but this one's not going anywhere. For the past year, I've been sending the school board members documents pertaining to my termination as a substitute teacher. The response has been talk to our lawyer. I have here a page from the governing board's Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual. Material which concerns an employee's conduct, service, character, or personality will not be placed in a teacher's file unless he or she has had an opportunity to read it. The teacher will acknowledge that he or she has read such material by affixing his signature or her. The appropriate district administrator will initial. It's completely blank. This is a completely fraudulent document that was done by Nick Noonan, an evaluation of me. It's all blank here. Because the school board has ignored me, Dr. Menzel decided to exact retribution for my exposing the corruption in his office. Last January, I was rehired to coach a 7th grade flag football team at Kokopaw. It is a paid position listed in the Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual with duties and responsibilities. During the first week of practice, Dr. Menzel's office notified the principal I would no longer be a paid coach, but rather a volunteer. He must hate kids because if I walked, and he knew this, the entire 10-week season for these 32 families would be canceled. I stayed on and we had a great season. Toward the end, I told a parent that what Menzel had done to me, and at our last game, she gave me a $250 gift card and a wonderful thank you letter. My brother was the 8th grade coach and was paid. President Sanowski's position was, you don't have the right paperwork. I was 19 years old when I returned to the States from Vietnam on a medevac airplane. I earned with my blood, sweat, and tears your freedoms, Dr. Hartwell, yours, Mr. Lindsay, and yours, Julie Sanowski. It's time for this board.
Katrina Miller, followed by Rebecca Ruggieri.
Hi, my name is Katrina Miller, and I am a 4th grade teacher at Yavapai Elementary. I just wanted to first address you so that you get an accurate picture of what it was like walking into my classroom at the beginning of the year. About 20% of the entire grade level is on track for math, and less than 40%, around 35%, are on track for reading. I know that you all are aware of the academic struggles currently plaguing the school. And with that, we have been very thankful to have a grant that is able to offer us opportunities to hire people like reading and math specialists. Unfortunately, at the end of the school year, we are not going to be able to have those funds to continue that for next school year. What that means is that the kids who are really struggling, most of our classrooms, are not going to be receiving the additional help that we need. Not only are we going to be losing our reading specialist, but also our math specialist, Dr. Joshua, who is here today. And I just wanted to say how much she has done for our classrooms. She has been able to do interventions for 4th graders who are still struggling to count up to 100. She is providing additional interventions for my entire class that is struggling with 10s and 1s, and being able to add and subtract 2-digit numbers when we have to borrow and carry. That is what our classroom is looking like right now, and we are going to lose those resources. As a Title I school, we don't have the opportunity and the community behind us in order to fund these positions through our parents in the community. And so I'm asking that as a school board, we are able to find a way to better support these schools and these opportunities. We call ourselves Scottsdale Unified School District, and I like to think that means because we also want to be unified in providing equity and providing the schools with what they need. I got into education because I believe that every child, regardless of where they lived or what their parents made, should be receiving a world-class education. And with that, I implore you, please consider helping us and
Rebecca Ruggieri, followed by Laura Matera.
Thank you. Hello, Governing Board. My name is Rebecca Ruggieri. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Yavapai, and I'm piggybacking off of Ms. Miller, but I'm not feel that you're not aware of the struggles that we go to make sure that our Title I students are treated and are given the same opportunities as every other school in the Scottsdale School District. We talk about our SUSD values and our vision, but the problem is that it's not equitable. We don't have a robust PTO that can say, hey, you know what? We'll pay for whoever you need. We've got the money in our PTO. We don't have that. So where's the equity? Where is the place here at Scottsdale Unified where every child is supposed to have a world-class education, but we don't have the same resources? So I'm sorry, I'm getting really emotional, but like, how does this help our kids? They are the kids that need the most, yet we have to fight for what every other school gets. It's not fair. It really isn't. So I implore you, please, let's figure out a solution to this, to honestly a big problem that we have, so that our students get what they deserve. So thank you so much.
Laura Matera, followed by Ellie Myers.
Hello, my name is Laura Matera. I am a teacher at Yavapai Elementary School. I have been passionate about math for as long as I can remember. In college, I even considered becoming a math teacher, but I didn't want to teach something that so many people seemed to hate. But education has made a large shift in math instruction over the past 10 to 20 years. And while many of us went through school needing to memorize, students now get to learn a variety of strategies that connect to prior knowledge and build a more scientific understanding of numbers. And this is why I was so excited when Dr. Joshua joined our staff as a full-time math specialist in the 22-23 school year. She had the opportunity to model math strategies for teachers. She helped everyone improve their understanding of math, and she was able to provide small group interventions for those students, those most needy students. Unfortunately, this position was cut to half-time for the current school year. And this has made it more difficult for Dr. Joshua to fully support our school's needs, but I know she has continued to work hard for our staff and students. So it really breaks my heart that we'll lose this position completely next school year and won't be able to continue the momentum we have going right now. I do hope we can reconsider this decision. Thank you.
Ellie Myers, followed by Sarani Joshua.
Hi. My name is Ellie Myers. I'm a special education para, and I'm reading on behalf of my teacher, Miss Madeline Agpoon. She's the LRC teacher at Yavapai Elementary, and this is her letter. Esteemed members of the board, I am writing to express my strong opinion that Yavapai continues to need a math interventionist to support our students. To be specific, Dr. Sarani Joshua has been a vital member of our staff at Yavapai and has gotten to know and connect with our students during her tenure here. She understands how and what support our students need in math. She is able to run much needed intervention support classes and pinpoint our students' deficits and provide strategies which will help them succeed at their grade level mathematics. Her level of expertise is shared with all of our teachers here at Yavapai as well. She is able to show, instruct, and assist our teachers on complete instruction in mathematics at their specific grade levels. She is instrumental in strengthening our teachers' core knowledge in teaching mathematics, which helps Yavapai students become stronger students and ready to face the challenges that the future brings. We have a great cadre of reading interventionists, and we need a math interventionist as well. With a strong Yavapai, this will show that SUSD is indeed future-focused, And thank you for your consideration. And with the time I have left, I would just like to say that I have personally seen Dr. Joshua work with these kids, and the kids need her. And I've just seen it with my own eyes, and that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Dr. Sarani Joshua.
Thank you, Governing Board. I'm Dr. Sarani Joshua, the part-time math specialist at Yavapai after my hours got cut last year. Now my position is cut entirely, but together these amazing classroom teachers and I have implemented changes in how we teach, assess, approach word problems, teach fractions, build fact fluency, implement building thinking classrooms, and increase student engagement. I really want to stay to help keep this momentum going. Elementary teachers are not trained to be math specialists, but they set the foundation, either strong or flawed, for all the mathematics that comes after them. They have to teach 7 different subjects every day, and then to incorporate current research on how children learn mathematics, there are not enough hours in the day for them to do it without support. I'm fairly unique as an elementary math specialist because I was trained to be a research professor. I have taught math at the elementary levels, junior high, high school, community college, university, and I've trained pre-service teachers at ASU. So I see the progression of where our students need to go mathematically. The reason I'm here instead of fighting for tenure at a university is because I'm tired of seeing good research that never trickles down to the classroom teachers. At Yavapai, when I help teachers teach subtraction, I'm thinking ahead to why our students struggle with integers in 7th grade. I model teaching fractions and help them with their language based on what's going to come with ratios and rational reasoning and slope. I co-teach word problems with them in ways that will help children to solve systems of equations word problems in Algebra 2. My goal is always to help these teachers teach their grade level standards in productive ways that are going to transfer upward through high school and into college. It all starts here. If we are concerned about our math test scores and our graduation rates in South Scottsdale, it all starts down here. As a part-timer, I am already overqualified and underpaid for this job, and I'm here to beg to continue to be overqualified and underpaid next year. Please let me continue to help at Yavapai. Please meet with me and find a way to help me stay at least part-time, because a lot of these teachers have been very brave.
This concludes the public comment portion of tonight's meeting. Do any board members wish to respond? Board Member Sanowski?
Yes, thank you, Vice President Lindsay. I'd like to respond with a correction to something Mr. Rattay mentioned, quoting that I said he didn't have the right paperwork. That is not true. I did not say that. And I'd also like to ask Dr. Menzel to learn about and verify the messages that have been shared with the teachers throughout the district. This isn't just a Yavapai message that I'm concerned about, but I know there are many staff members who are experiencing angst right now, concerned about cuts for next year. I just want to make sure that no finalized decisions have been made, if you could verify that message with employees, and that we are actually analyzing the needs of our students in making the decisions instead of the last one in, first one out type of a scenario moving forward. I think the equity issues that were brought up earlier is also something that we need to be looking at. And it was brought up about the PTO funding positions, and that's great that we have the ability to do that on some of our campuses. I also am concerned about equity issues to students throughout our district. So I want to just make sure that those messages are clear and the considerations are appropriately placed. Thank you.
Board Member Carney?
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to piggyback on that as well. I'd like to make sure the board has a report on our reading and math specialists. I had asked last month for a report, and the board did receive the report on our current reading and math specialists, but I'd like an update on that, on where that stands. And the board has not heard that people have been told no, that they don't have their position. So we would like to know where that stands, because reading and math specialists need to be a priority. I would also like to address what Ms. Lucero was speaking on with the $800 pre-K and how that happened. If you could report to the board, where that came from and what we're doing about it, as well as the discount she mentioned for employees. What is that? If you could give the board a report on that. And then I know Mr. Rattay consistently comes every board meeting to speak. I would like a report to the board on current middle school, including Kokopah flag football coaches' stipends and who is volunteering and who is getting paid, so we better understand what's going on with our coaches. Thank you.
Board Member Werner, would you like to respond at all?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Lucero, Ms. Miller, Mr. Rebecca, Ms. Myers, and Ms. Joshua, I applaud you for coming forward and speaking to the board. I'm very grateful to hear our staff come forward and speak about what is happening. And our day-to-day staff, the people that are hands-on with our kids, should not be experiencing the angst that they're going through right now. So, Mr. Menzel, I'm asking you to really communicate clearly with our staff, and then I'd also like to see us have a work meeting, a work session similar to the KPI meeting, so the board can have a clear understanding of what positions are getting cut and which ones aren't. I'm so sensitive to our staff's pay, and we must make sure that our hands-on, the staff that's hands-on with our kids every day are taken care of. Thank you.
President Hart-Wells?
Yes, thank you, Vice President Lindsay. With respect to the Title I pre-K tuition costs, I would also like to just add, I would like to understand why the changes were made. And if it's budget, it's budget. I've actually asked about this last week from after having learned from a family who also was caught off guard in a similar situation that our speaker was in. If we could understand why the change was made, who approved, not specifically names, but what process was the diligence in understanding the impact to our families, and then further, why some of the was it 21st century funds or other Title I funds that this district gets can't be used, or in this instance, or even in the instance of the math specialists, retaining those reading and math specialists in the Title I schools. I think that these are actually interrelated issues. So I would strongly request a written summary, and I actually also support a conversation in a working session for budget. And if that's something the board would like to do, I think that would be an appropriate conversation for us to have, given there does seem to be some signaling that's happening. And if we could put some of the rumors to bed, it might be more constructive if we could just have a public conversation about what's really about to go down on the budgeting for next year with staff. Thank you.
And with that, we will move to information discussion items. 7A, first read, policy JIH, student interrogations, searches, and arrests. Nick will take the lead on this one.
Good evening, President in the cloud, President Hart-Wells in the cloud, Vice President Lindsay, members of the governing board, Dr. Menzel, and Ms. Awayo subbing in for Ms. Wagner. This policy change, JIH, Student Interrogation, Searches, and Arrests, came about because Mr. Friedman, the Director of Security, brought it to my attention that we had a need to provide an exception for school resource officers when it came to filling out a form of when they have communications with students on campus. They're there a lot. They're making relationships with the students in a positive way, as you heard from the Student Advisory Board members. And it doesn't really make sense for them to fill out this form that policy was requiring them to fill out. If there are incidents, they are filling out reports anyway, and they, as a member of the school, not an employee, but a member, they are working in hand with administration to communicate with parents and that sort of thing. So previously, the policy made it so that any law enforcement officer that was interviewing a student would have to fill out this exhibit. So now school resource officers are just accepted from that. If they meet the following criteria. The investigation is related to a crime or incident that occurs on campus, or the interview is done in conjunction with or with the approval of campus administration. So that was one change that Mr. Friedman wanted to make. An additional change, and some of this is just conforming the policy to current language. You could see we took out Child Protective Service workers and input the new name of the CPS agency, the Department of Child Safety. Again, there in our notice provision, it's DCS agent instead of Child Protective Service worker. And then there's an additional, there's another addition to the paragraph on searches. Here, essentially what we were doing was adding to policy what is already in the search procedure that's implemented by school resource officers and district administration. So in order to conduct a search for any student, an administrator has to determine that there's reasonable suspicion of violation of a law or a school policy. A security officer cannot make that determination themselves. The administration has to do that. And all this does is, like I said, include what's already in the guidance for WANDs, is make it so that the administration can use a WAND to determine whether the reasonable suspicion that they already have to determine whether there's anything of metal on that person. You can see WANDs may only be used by trained staff, and additionally, police assistance may be requested when dealing with dangerous items or weapons. Finally, in order to improve upon the record keeping and really to create data about the amount of searches that may be occurring on campus, we included a provision where district security will keep that record of all searches, so that we can over time say, whether their searches we're searching too much or we're not searching enough. Obviously, there's always a balance between the privacy interests of the students and also the need to keep everyone on campus safe and to enforce the rules on campus. So there are two other black lines that I'll go over just on the two exhibits. These are the forms that we have the interviewing officer fill out. This provision is something that Director Friedman has brought to my attention, that we really want, if a law enforcement officer comes onto campus to interview a student or to investigate a crime, we want to make sure that the parents in this community get notice of that. And so that's essentially what this form is for. We don't want law enforcement, we want to have a cooperative relationship with law enforcement always, but we don't want law enforcement pulling kids out of class and interviewing them without any knowledge to the parents or without the administration knowing. And so the fact that we have this form and that administration knows about this form requires us to go through that process and make sure that investigations can take place when necessary, but student instructional time is protected and the privacy interests of the students is also protected. So that's EB. And then EA is a similar change. There's a form if an officer is going to make arrest on campus, and that's being updated for the same reasons. Are there any questions?
Board member questions? Board member Snowski?
I'm going to ask that the language in our policy parrot the language in the permission form, which is EB exhibit, I believe, in regards to notifying parents in a timely manner. I noticed the addition of it in the interview on that sheet, but I did not see it in the policy itself. It says to notify parents, but it doesn't talk about within any specific time frame, and I think that's been an issue in the past. So I would like for that to be parroted.
Very good. I will do that.
Board member Carney?
Thank you. Okay, I have a few questions for you. I'm wondering is this reactive to the recent incident at Mountainside Middle School with what happened with the loaded gun on campus? Or
No.
any other, is this reactive to anything that's happened on any of our campuses recently?
This policy update had been brought to me by Mr. Friedman prior to any recent incidents. It was actually in the fall, I think, and I let it sit in my email inbox for a couple of months, although very important to get to. I'm glad we're getting to it now. But to your point, we are working on those issues, and we want to, we're working every day to talk about those issues, and without getting into any specifics, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you. And then I want to clear something up that on JIHEB, it says form for interviewing officer, correct? But on our agenda item, it says form for interrogating officer. So I just want to confirm.
It should say interviewing.
Okay, because twice on our agenda item, it's listed as form for signature of interrogating officer. So I just want to confirm that we are not changing, I guess, is the JIHEB correct or the agenda page? Because
The black lines that are published here, JIH, are the correct.
Okay, so we probably need to change this for second read.
Okay, thank you.
And then I just want to ask if, between now and second read, if you could spell out what reasonable efforts and timely manner would be. What would be our goal for contacting parents? It says shall make reasonable efforts. What does that mean? What are we currently doing? And in a timely manner, I agree that should be added to the policy.
I think that's a great suggestion from both board members, and we'll look into making sure that language can be as clear as possible and workable.
Okay, and then if we could also understand, I had emailed, I think only yesterday though, wanting an update on the metal detector wands. How many of those do we have? What schools are using them? If we could get that before the second read as well, so we have a better understanding how those are being used. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Board member Werner?
Thank you. So I'm going to piggyback on the notification of parents in a timely manner. We do have to define what a timely manner is. We've had incidents in the past where a parent was not notified for several hours, and it just causes problems. And so if you guys can figure out some language around that would define it, that would be helpful.
President
Thank you.
Wells?
Yes, thank you, Vice President Lindsay. On JIH, the policy itself, if we could scroll down from what's on the screen there, all the way to the bottom, the added section, please. Thank you. Very good. Records of searches. I'd like to insert written in front of record. And I'd like to remove or immediately after the search is complete. And I would like a quantitative number on the hours after an incident within which a parent or guardian will be notified of any search. You could inform that number by just looking at some of the maybe incidences that in those time windows where a parent or guardian wasn't able to be reached in advance, so that it can be an informed number. But I'd like a number, a time frame, a quantitative time frame to meet. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Buzan.
All right, thank you very much. Great suggestions.
We'll move on to 7B, Coronado Learning Community Strategic Planning Update.
Dr. Benson and the Coronado team, I'd like to invite you to come to the podium. This will be a team effort this evening to provide an update to the governing board with respect to the work in the Coronado learning community.
Thank you, team. Good evening, Vice President Lindsay, governing board members here in person and in the cloud this evening, Dr. Menzel and Susan, and all joining us here. You may recall at the May 2nd board meeting last spring, we provided an update on the outcomes of the ongoing strategic planning work specific to the Coronado learning community. Tonight, our Coronado learning community principals and district team members are happy to have the opportunity to share our focus and progress so far during the 2023-24 school year. Each of our Coronado learning community principals will share highlights specific to their schools on our efforts to continue to retain, grow, and attract students during the second half of this presentation. That part will culminate with our Coronado High School leaders highlighting our newest opportunity for students as part of the Coronado Diploma Advantage. Prior to the sharing out of our principles in the first half of our presentation, we'll share trends in student enrollment and attendance and provide a snapshot of our academic data across our Coronado learning community, indicating targeted actions we've taken to accelerate continuous improvements in a couple of key areas. To get us started this evening, Dr. Praninsky, Director of State and Federal Programs, will provide a short summary of the phases of the CLC strategic planning efforts over the course of the last 3 years. This learning community has been on a significant journey of improvement over the course of the last 3 years and prior to that. And we appreciate the commitment of our current governing board and the support and partnership of community members as we continue to build momentum for increased continued improvement. Thank you, our Coronado Learning Community principals, for joining us this evening to share our continued forward progress. And with that, Dr. Praninsky, you are welcome to get us started.
Thank you. Members of the board, Vice President Lindsay, Dr. Menzel, Susan, and community, tonight we are excited to share our work with the Coronado learning community. As shown here, our work began in the 21-22 school year when we hosted town hall events to solicit strengths and growth opportunities from our staff and our families. One theme that emerged during phase one was our middle school, in particular the need for increased capacity in our middle school. Tonalea, then a full pre-K-8, was approved by our school board the spring of 2022 to return to a standalone middle school. Phase two re-examined boundaries for the CLC, specifically for Pima, Yavapai, and Hohokam. Our board also approved this spring of 2022, and we opened in the fall of 22 with a new reconfiguration and boundaries. Last year, we completed our learner and leader profile and video, initial development of the Coronado Diploma Advantage, resituating Pima Traditional School, and also identified key areas to further build capacity through personalized learning, formative assessment, problem-based learning, and exploring additional means to increase teacher collaboration time. We've provided here tonight our 5-year trends for overall enrollment, taken from the ADE October 1st enrollment files available to the public. Each bar indicates a separate year of enrollment, with the earliest being our pre-pandemic enrollment counts by campus. You can see that Hohokam and Yavapai have returned to their pre-pandemic enrollment levels, while Coronado and Pima have modestly rebounded but remain below the pre-pandemic highs on their respective campuses. Tonalea numbers reflect just the middle school grades 6-8. You'll notice Tonalea has rebounded post-pandemic and reconfiguration, but we also notice a decrease over the last 3 years. Hohokam and Yavapai enrollment numbers in the fall of '22 were boosted by the return of the Tunnelea Elementary students to those campuses. To build additional context for our work this year, our CLC, we provided updated demographic information on the students we serve. Shown here, we have data to indicate both ethnicity distribution and special populations in the Coronado learning community. To showcase two key areas, we are proud of the Hispanic heritage of nearly 58% of our Coronado learning community students. Also to note, while every Title I school differs by free and reduced lunch percentage, 78% of our over 2,300 students qualify for free and reduced lunch meals. Also, to situate our work with our KPIs, we want to celebrate tonight the CLC's commitment to student attendance. You'll notice here a considerable percentage gain for the Coronado learning community month by month as we compare last year to this year. Special thanks to the continued support and focus placed on student attendance by our CLC building principals, our teachers, and our staff. Here we also want to give a brief update on academic data for the Coronado learning community. Our principals will attest data is front and center for all decision making for every student every day. Considering the effects we know the pandemic had on our communities and the reconfiguration the community underwent, there can be an impact on enrollment, attendance, and student achievement. The Coronado learning community continues to beat the odds and last year earned all A and B letter grades as measured by spring assessment data. In addition, with the scatter plot to the right, this is a new process via the Arizona Department of Education, which is providing data to inform Title I plans for Title I schools. We are able to see how each of our schools fared compared to other like Title I schools across the state. This data will also help inform our future Title I plans and how we allocate Title I funds at the site and how they are used to achieve the school's goals and vision. To touch on our ELA performance in the Coronado learning community, shown here we have the CLC percentage passing by grade level in ELA last spring. CLC is in gold as compared to all Title I schools in Arizona in green. You'll notice while the CLC has room to grow in terms of our percentage passing, we see a modest gain by most grade levels in ELA compared to Arizona Title I schools. I'd like to invite Dr. Jay up to speak to our math achievement data.
Good evening. In 2023, the Coronado Learning Community students outperformed students attending schools with similar demographics around the state of Arizona in math in the majority of grade levels. In other words, CLC students demonstrated a higher percentage of mastery of the math standards in 4 of the 7 grade levels. At Tunnelea Middle School, we are working hard to increase student achievement in math. This year, students are working with their math teachers to understand their iReady data, set growth and stretch goals, and monitor their own progress. During our Power Hour block, students have the opportunity to work on individual iReady lessons that are specifically crafted to meet their individual needs. We are also using our Power Hour time to provide additional remediation and enrichment in math. Each week, students participate in a Math Minute lesson in which they review and then practice specific math skills. In addition to reinforcing foundational math skills, this school-wide Tier 1 strategy allows for an increase in math minutes each week. In addition to a Tier 1 focus on math, we are also able to provide Tier 2 math support for students who need a more targeted approach. This elective opportunity allows students the chance to build on foundational skills and get support in a smaller group setting on the work that they are doing in their regular math class. We are also pleased to be partnering with university instructors in order to provide high-dosage tutoring for all students in their math class. In addition to in-person tutoring, many of our students work with varsity tutors to provide an individualized support for their specific math needs. We are confident that these strategies will support our students and are looking forward to seeing an increase in our student achievement this spring. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Principal Palatucci at Coronado High School.
In 2020, 2023, Coronado Learning Community students outperformed or matched students attending schools with similar demographics around the state of Arizona in science in 2 grade levels. Just to note, the ACT science scores are presented as a comparison to the state of Arizona, not just the Title I schools. This school year, we have added physics to our master schedule at Coronado. We have strategically increased student support to prepare for the state tests. Our science teachers have been working in PLCs to collaborate on lessons and interventions for students at all levels of science. We are proud of our teachers for their hard work and our students for their growth. We recognize that we still have work to do and are committed to best practices. And now I'll turn it back over to Dr. P.
Just to recap from our last board meeting in May, we celebrated our collective focus in the Coronado Learning Community on the future-focused learner and leader. Our profile of students reflects a shared vision of skills and dispositions students will acquire during their time in the Coronado Learning Community and in life and career and beyond. You will hear leaders tonight touch on these characteristics as we share our Phase 4 update. This year, in addition to our ongoing work with the Coronado Promise Scholarship, our team of site leaders, district leaders, and community leaders have met monthly in large part to build out our Coronado Diploma Advantage. In addition, we've explored ways to increase teacher collaboration time, reinforce our learner and leader profile, and collectively and systematically strengthen our community relationship pre-K-12 in our Coronado Learning Community. Tonight, building leaders are excited to share our work to date, and with this, I'd like to turn it over to Principal Rantala at Hohokam Elementary.
We're bringing the CLC profile of a learner and leader to life at Hohokam in a variety of ways. Our students are resilient, with student academic and behavioral growth monitored through our longstanding MTSS systems, Kids Team, PLC teams, MTSS committees, and our school-wide SOAR acronym, which stands for Safety, Ownership, Achievement, and Respect. We pair these consistent MTSS systems with our AVID framework implementation, which includes WICR, Writing to Learn, Inquiry, Collaboration, Organization, and Reading to Learn, college awareness through classroom door signs, College Shirt Friday, the first Friday of every month, college banners and signage, including the Coronado Promise, and our College and Career Showcase and student goal setting. These systems helped Hohokam earn an A accountability grade from the ADE with a 9+ point increase on the accountability rubric this past fall. A partnership between home, school, and community is a core value at Hohokam. We work daily to ensure students and families have positive relationships with school staff and feel welcomed. We host numerous family engagement events each year, including our Title I legal meeting and family board game night, which we held in September and had 260 people in attendance. And last Thursday, Sweet Creations, a Valentine-themed writing event with 208 people in attendance. In addition to our Title I family engagement events, grade levels collaborate on thematic learning, such as kindergarten's Holidays Around the World in December, which you can see pictured up there. Then we also have Sweet Creations and then our Snowball celebration, which was done before winter break to celebrate our A label with the state. I'm going to introduce Mr. Chris Odo, PMIS principal. He'll follow me.
Good evening. At PIMA, we're dedicated to cultivating learners who embody the core values of innovation, resilience, collaboration, global awareness, ethics, and empathy. These pillars are not just words to us, they are foundations upon our school community thrives. By prioritizing these attributes, we have proudly achieved an A rating, which is a testament to our collective commitment to excellence. One of the most remarkable aspects of our journey has been the significant increase in family engagement since transitioning away from the traditional model. Our school events, ranging from math sports night to trunk or treat, and from winter sing-along and art gallery walk to band and string concerts, have brought our families closer together, creating cherished moments and strengthening our bond as a community. Additionally, our collaboration with Coronado High School during monthly flag ceremonies has enriched our scholars' experiences, showcasing the power of inter-school partnerships. Academic excellence is paramount at Pima Elementary. Every scholar is known by name, and our teachers meet weekly to establish SMART goals tailored to each scholar's needs. Through these goals, we aim to foster leadership, resilience, and academic growth in every child. Moreover, we recognize the importance of nurturing creativity and self-expression, offering a diverse range of extracurricular clubs such as ukulele club, graffiti arts club, and books and cooks club. These clubs provide innovative outlets for our scholars to explore their passions and expand their horizons. This academic year, we've placed a special focus on attendance, understanding that consistent attendance is essential for scholar success. To incentivize and celebrate attendance, we have implemented initiatives like the Here and On Time program, where scholars have the chance to win books from our book vending machine, and the Attendance Madness Challenge, where classes compete for the highest attendance rates. Our school-wide goal of 94% attendance for the month serves as a rallying point for our entire community. And to prepare and inspire our scholars, I have even composed an attendance song. Once we reach our goal, we'll create a music video featuring our talented students. The success of Pima Elementary is a testament to the dedication and collaborative spirit of our staff, students, and families. By fostering collaboration, innovation, resilience, and a love for learning, we shape the leaders of tomorrow and create a vibrant community where every child can thrive. Thank you for your support and investment in the future of our students. Now, take a moment to check out Pima's attendance song. Perhaps. Well, it's loud. Was someone else controlling this? No? Okay. I'm sorry.
It's a little unnerving right there.
All right, you guys get the idea. Now I'd like to introduce Principal Kelly Perry of Yavapai.
Well, we don't have a song yet, but I feel like the gauntlet's been thrown down, so we'll get there. Yavapai Elementary School, tucked along the Greenbelt in South Scottsdale, is a multi-generational community school with a deep commitment to excellence and community-focused education. Known for our resilience and grit, we serve as a beacon within the Coronado learning community, fostering unity and shared values. Our strong partnership with Tonalea Middle School and Coronado High School ensures a seamless educational journey, laying the groundwork for the profile of a Coronado learner and leader. Monthly collaborations with Coronado High School celebrate diverse programs and are symbolized by our Yavapai flag ceremony, reflecting shared values that define the Coronado learning community. Recognizing the need for positive role models, we've initiated a mentorship program this year, nurturing leadership and empathy in our students. Here is a short reel that captures an example of the monthly assembly tradition Yavapai shares with Coronado. And if you click, nope, go back. Click Sam Brosson on the photo. This academic year, our focus is on fostering a growth mindset and encouraging students to set learning goals that instill purpose and achievement. Professional development and collaboration are pivotal at Yavapai, with additional planning hours provided for teachers through a monthly modified day schedule, contributing to the cultivation of leadership skills. We additionally use our Title I funds to help support ongoing professional development. At this time, I'd like to highlight the photo on the right of the slide illustrating 18 dedicated Yavapai teachers who have committed to completing the rigorous letters training certification, thus committing 160 hours of their own time towards professional development in the science of reading. To meet this need for extra embedded planning time, tax credit funds and title funds are used to support enriching assemblies, such as presentations by the World Wildlife Zoo and Child's Play theater productions, aligning with the holistic development outlined in the profile of a Coronado learner and leader. In conclusion, Yavapai Elementary is not just a school, but a nurturing ground for our community, our Coronado community learner and leaders. Through multi-generational service, partnerships, mentorships, a growth mindset, and enriching collaborations, we shape individuals, embodying the values, skills, and leadership qualities of a Coronado learner and leader. The Coronado learning community thrives as an ecosystem where relationships, collaboration, and the cultivation of future leaders converge for the benefit of our students and our greater SUSD community. And now, Dr. J.
Tonalea is currently halfway through its second year as a standalone middle school. We have a strong focus on creating a high-quality professional learning community, providing quality Tier 1 instruction in the classroom, and creating a positive culture and climate on campus for all students and staff. A shift in our master schedule has created true collaborative teams in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. ELA, social studies, math, and science teachers at each grade level share students and utilize a common planning time to work together to meet the needs of all students. We have a designated power hour block that provides students with time for remediation and enrichment, and teachers use this time to reteach and enrich student learning. As a proud AVID school, we are pleased to provide the AVID elective for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. In addition to these courses, we are working on incorporating AVID school-wide strategies, including Wicker strategies, which stands for writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading, as well as focused note-taking. We are the proud recipient of the Innovation Grant. Our coding students are currently learning to program our new drones, and we have purchased new microscopes. As we continue to grow as a middle school, we are excited to offer new extracurricular clubs and activities for students. In an effort to better understand the students we serve, the Principal Advisory Committee meets monthly to listen to the students' perspective and works towards positive change. In January, we were proud to induct the inaugural class in Tonalea to the National Junior Honor Society. We are looking forward to this opportunity for our students. In its second year, Tonalea has seen an increase in the number of students who are participating in sports. It is so important for middle school students to get involved on campus, and participating in sports is a great way to connect. We are also looking forward to our future partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Scottsdale. This opportunity will provide a safe and nurturing environment for our students after school. We are also hoping that this connection between the Boys and Girls Club staff will provide additional support and mentorship for our students. Lastly, we are very proud of our B letter grade as a standalone middle school. We've made great strides and will continue to collaborate and work together to increase achievement and provide students with an outstanding education. At this time, I would like to welcome Ms. Palatucci, the principal at Coronado High School, back to the podium.
Right, we are so excited to update you on Coronado. So when we last conversed with you in May, we discussed the exciting possibilities offered by the Coronado Diploma Advantage. This program aims to provide every student with the opportunity not only to graduate with their diploma, but also to achieve additional accomplishments. To embark on this journey, we have taken concrete steps. One, also enhancing our enrollment opportunities. We are pleased to share that we have established a strategic partnership with Scottsdale Community College to broaden the horizons for our students. And now I'd like to introduce you to our amazing assistant principal, Melinda Splittick, to tell you more about that program.
Thank you, Ms. Palatucci. The data presented here for you shows the growth in AP achievement over the last 5 years. The slight decrease in success in 2021 represents the impact of COVID on the learning process itself. Over the last 5 years, Coronado is pleased to share that we have been able to consistently augment our AP and dual enrollment options for all of our students. We have added AP Calculus, AP Statistics, AP Chemistry, AP Biology, and AP Psychology to our master schedule. It is important to note that 100% of our students enrolled in each of these AP classes takes the test every single spring. This past spring, we had 45% of our students score a 3 or higher, which is considered passing by the College Board. Additionally, numerous Coronado scholars have been identified as AP scholars at various levels of distinction by the College Board. Further, we have continued to add dual enrollment courses like English 101, 102, Biology 160, Math 151, Math 187, and this year we added Sports Medicine Fundamentals, SPT 271. Our continued growth in AP and dual enrollment success is tied to our use of pre-AP for all freshman and sophomore English, Math, Science, and Social Studies classes. This year, we are excited to share that we have launched a successful pilot partnership with Scottsdale Community College. This concurrent enrollment pilot allows students at Coronado to take an SEC class taught by an experienced SEC professor at Coronado as part of their daily typical schedule. Students are currently enrolled in an Intro to Social Media Marketing course and are already putting their skills to use by creating intentional marketing campaigns to expand this program, persuade other students to take the course, and to secure funding from internal and external stakeholders for the expansion of the space itself. Moving forward, we will be opening up this program to both juniors and seniors, and we currently have 60 students interested in taking advantage of this program for the next school year. As we fully launch this program, we will be offering courses that lead to certification in social media marketing and in entrepreneurship. Because of the success associated with this pilot already, and it's only been 5 weeks, SEC will be taking strategic steps to make Coronado an early college campus, which is incredibly exciting for our current and for our future students. We anticipate that this will draw additional students to Coronado and increase our enrollment. We are anxiously awaiting the formal press release regarding this from our marketing department. The SEC partnership has created a student need for a state-of-the-art entrepreneurship hub or innovation center here at Coronado. This space, which will be right over there, will allow students to engage in collaborative, inquiry-based learning, all while working to launch their own businesses. This future space will not only include collaborative learning tools such as movable whiteboards, flexible seating, and elite technology, but also meeting rooms where students can meet with investors and community mentors. We want to help them turn their dreams into reality. The initial design of this hub, which you can see right up here, comes directly from our students who sketched out their dream space after the first student interest meeting for this program. So initially, we believe that we will need approximately 900 square feet of classroom space so that any given time we can house up to 30 students. On this next slide, you can see what the space currently looks like. So this is the entrance here. We have kind of an old book storage room, and the last picture shows you the open space. This empty space, which is the very last picture, has been set up as a classroom, and we are excited to partner with SUSD leadership and other stakeholders to build out this space soon. And now I'd like to turn things back over to Ms. Palatucci.
And we just got some great photos today of that program in action. So check out Facebook and Instagram tomorrow to see our students in action. All right, back to the script. One of our upcoming endeavors involves exploring a partnership with EVIT to introduce fire science to Coronado on our campus. We are excited about launching the media release soon. The Coronado Promise continues to offer, I'm going to close with the Coronado Promise. The Coronado Promise continues to offer support to our students beyond high school. Through our partnership with Coronado Foundation for the Future, the Scottsdale Charros, and community members, we have successfully increased the number of students receiving the scholarships each year. For the first few years, we provided between 3 and 5 scholarships to students. In 2022, we offered 25 scholarships, and last year, in 2023, we offered 42 scholarships. So at this time, I would like to show a quick video that the Scottsdale Charros created for us.
We saw a need that Coronado wanted more kids to go to college, and so we worked very hard with many other community groups to make that happen.
We're delivering a promise to these students in Scottsdale that they're going to have an opportunity to go to college, and we couldn't be more prouder as an organization, and we continue to build and build and build and grow ways that we can impact the community.
These Promise scholarships are really a game changer for our students. The fact that they know that if they go through their 4 years, work hard, and commit to their education, we're committed to providing them with funding for their education beyond Coronado High School.
One of the things I love about this is that we're helping students, sometimes first-generation college students, to make it further in life.
We're building up the Promise, we're building up our community by building up the graduates who receive these wonderful scholarships, and they will come back into our community and they will help build it up. And it's a wonderful life cycle for the Scottsdale community, and especially here at Coronado High School. I am here in Coronado High School. I'm a graduate of this year, and I'm very fortunate to get the scholarship, the Promise Scholarship, and it's a very amazing thing that I got this year.
I'm so grateful that I got the scholarship from Coronado Promise Scholarship, and I'm going to use this for banking administration.
I'm so excited to have received the Promise Scholarship, and I'm going to use it to go to SCC, to take business classes, and then just spend the rest of my life being so thankful.
Hi, my name is Rob Frick, and I'm a Coronado High School alum, class of 1971. I think the Coronado Promise is a great thing for kids. I've always wanted to be able to give back to the school. I love my 4 years here at Coronado. I would do it again if I was given the chance.
We are grateful in Scottsdale for the partnership of the Charros, the Coronado Foundation for the Future, Scottsdale Community College, and so many others who make this scholarship possible for our students here at Coronado High School. And this opens doors for young people in the Coronado learning community that they otherwise might not have.
It's amazing to watch them grow. It's amazing to watch the look on their face when they've signed that declaration that they're going to move forward.
We're really excited about what it's become, where it's going, and our long-term vision is to see this program expand to all of Scottsdale, so all of the high schools can have the same opportunity.
And so with that, I say congratulations to all the scholarship winners today, and we couldn't be more proud as the Charros to be able to be involved and help support these students.
All right, and in conclusion, we just want to thank our governing board members and our district leadership for supporting our community over the years and helping us as we work through all of these amazing endeavors. And with that, we'll take any questions or comments.
Board member questions? Board member Werner?
Thank you for the presentation. I'm really excited to see the Coronado learning community grow and expand, and it's been exciting to watch for the last year, but I just know that this community is going places and doing big things, so thank you.
President Harwells?
Thank you, Vice President Lindsay. Thank you to all the principals and Dr. Paninsky for putting together the presentation this evening. It certainly had a lot more detail than last May, and I appreciate all of the progress. I do have a few questions. I actually have a lot of questions, and in the interest of time this evening, I'm going to put those into writing afterwards. But I do just have kind of a few threshold questions. Given that you're all there, we heard in public comment this evening many references to the importance of and the advantage of having math and or reading specialists on campuses. And I wonder if one or more of you would comment on your thoughts on having reading specialists, given what we did see in terms of the math assessments and the ELA assessment scores. And I also point out there was a comment about growth. We weren't shown longitudinal data, so I'm not sure what those growth numbers are, but I would be very interested to see them. But just going back to kind of tying into some very passionate comments earlier about math and reading specialists, my understanding is that all of the Title I schools were to have math and reading specialists supported through Title I funds. Is that correct or is that incorrect?
Thank you for the question, Board President Hart-Wells. I'm just going to jump in quick before we listen to our principals share their personal experiences too. But to your question, all of our title schools do get additional funding through our title funds, but also through DSEG. And so I appreciate that we're going to have an opportunity to talk through that. It sounds like what that support has looked like. We've also had additional layers of support, as we've shared previously, in our ESSER and results-based funds. And our ESSER positions did exactly what they're supposed to do, provide targeted supports, additional targeted supports to students in ways that recovered learning loss. And so while those funding sources have sunsetted, it's important for us to continue the messaging about what it is that we're prioritizing moving forward and the additional supports that title schools get to continue moving forward and clarify that. Do any of our principals want to speak to math or reading specialists? We do have another layer that was referenced here and that we've added additional tutoring services. The board had requested that we work with our teachers first to make sure we weren't denying our teachers that opportunity. And so we've picked up additional tutoring services this third quarter with our own teachers across the district, and specific to the in-person tutors that we've established to work for us for the rest of the year. 3 of those university instructor tutors in person will be supporting the students at Tonalea for the rest of the year. So that's significant in terms of the additional layers. So there's a lot of complexity to the reading and math specialist conversation, and so we appreciate that we'll have an opportunity to talk through that more in detail.
I appreciate having that conversation too, particularly after I realize there's definitely some celebrations here. There's some improvements on the enrollment. I applaud all of the efforts. That said, the academic numbers and assessments are, it seems like an appropriate conversation to have about whether cutting specialists that are showing effectiveness is really the wise thing to do going forward. I also want to ask the question about the teachers at Coronado High School do receive a stipend that other high school teachers do not receive. And my question is, how are we benchmarking the effectiveness of those additional funds?
Absolutely. So we have 2 different layers to those funds. Everybody receives a one-time stipend for our RISE program. So we have a RISE intervention program every day at lunch. And the reason that the teachers receive a stipend for that is because they work beyond the typical bell schedule that the rest of the districts, the teachers in the district do. So what that looks like is on Mondays, the students review their grades, the teachers review their grades, and they look at their attendance and they kind of set their goals and their intentions for the week. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, students are able to get support from their teachers through almost like a guided study hall and additional supports as needed built into the day. So it's not dependent on students going to tutoring or coming before or after school. It's right there. Every student participates. And then on Fridays, we work on culture building. We do what's called Dawn Challenges, where we have the students compete against each other and they get really into it, whether it's trivia or bottle flipping or or, who can wear the most scarlet and navy. Again, we're still focused on the academics, but it really has improved culture and team building. The other part of that stipend is based on hourly work that the teachers do outside of the school day. So at the beginning of the year, we have designed a project template, which I'd be happy to share with all of you. And the teachers fill out a project where they basically say, this is what I'm going to do for targeted interventions for my students. This is what I'm going to do to improve scores and support my students. They turn that project into me. It's a collaborative effort. And then they track data based on the project they're doing. I will be honest, some of them come up with some creative things, and then a lot of them just do tutoring. Tutoring is their project. So outside of the academic day, they're working with their students. They turn that data into me twice a year. And a lot of times it is the students they've worked with and the progress that those students have made. So tracking individual students throughout the year. But they do keep track of what students they are working with on that additional paid time, as well as those progress. It was actually pretty cool. Last year I put a report together, and some of the teachers even included quantitative or qualitative data, and they had quotes for like the difference that some of this time with their teachers has made and the impact it had on students. So if you guys let me know what you would like, I would share whatever you want with you. But that has been really important and crucial, having that paid time for our teachers to work with the students beyond the school day.
Thank you, Principal Palatucci. My concern is, of course, there are other teachers at other high schools doing similar types of activities. I would be interested in hearing more about how the growth in academics is tracking with those additional hours and support. I haven't seen any of that in the last 3 years, and so I would be very interested in learning more. And it sounds like you certainly have all that information at the ready. I have another question. This is a general question. I don't know if maybe Dr. Paninsky, you might have this information. We saw at the top of the presentation the demographics on the Coronado Learning Community. And my question is, what % of the staff in the Coronado Learning Community are bilingual?
Board President Hartwells, thank you so much for the question. I think we would probably need to pull that data via our human resources team to identify how many of our teachers and staff are bilingual in our complex. So we may need to get that information and provide that at a later date.
Okay, fair enough. I think maybe you probably understand the reason I'm asking. There was a relatively large % of the student population in Hispanic, and I would be interested to see what % of our staff have those skill sets. That would be interesting. I know you do.
I would share that one key piece to the puzzle are our community specialists who are bilingual and share Spanish language with our Hispanic students and families. So that is one key player in our learning community, but we'd have to get additional data to provide.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. One more question, and this is with respect to the science scores. I believe it's slide 9. There was reference, and I'm very, very pleased that the physics was added last January for course registration this school year. And I'm sure that will have a positive impact on science assessment scores. But in the slide, there is a reference to strategic planning that's happening to elevate proficiency in science. And I was hoping that we might learn a little bit more about what that means. What types of strategic planning are we talking about here?
From the high school perspective?
I believe it is referred to, yes, for the high school.
Okay.
On slide 9, yes.
Absolutely. Well, I do want to say I'm very proud of our team. If you come and tour Coronado, we have some amazing dynamic science teachers currently, and they work really strongly together. So really it's going back to that first best instruction, making sure that the teachers have what they need to be successful in the classroom, making sure that we're giving them feedback. The addition of pre-AP for biology and chemistry has been really helpful at preparing our students. That framework really provides the students more opportunities to be hands-on and apply the knowledge than some other things that they have used. So that has been exciting. Again, we really went back to the work with PLCs where our teachers are looking at data, their own students' data as well as their colleagues' data, and creating lessons and interventions for those teachers. So we have some really amazing things going on at Coronado, and we have seen growth over the years. I will say for this science test, this AZ-Sci, this is only the second year we've gotten scores, and we did grow. We're looking to grow more. And then the ACT, we also grew in our science scores.
And again, we weren't provided that information here in this presentation, the longitudinal information. So yeah, I would be interested in seeing, and we do periodically get from Dr. Bach, and I'm not suggesting that no one's getting it, but I would like to see what quantitatively that means. Because with the slide that we're looking at, you know, the proficiency scores are pretty low. I will end there. I have several questions about the Entrepreneurial Hub. This is squarely in my professional space, so I'm very keen to learn more. I would also ask if the staff, and perhaps it's already prepared, has a budget proposal. I had actually specifically asked for budgeting information this evening, but we can get that from Ms. Crozier follow-up. But on the Entrepreneurial Hub, what kinds of costs are we talking about here? And what kinds of funds are projected to be used for such a endeavor. So I will stop there. And again, thank you all very much for being here this evening and sharing with us all this good information.
Any other questions? Board Member Snowski?
Thank you all for this presentation. A couple questions, and then I would like to point out some celebrations as well. The stipends have been paid for like 7 to 8 years. Is that correct? In SUSD to Coronado teachers?
So yes, something has been paid. We have, based on the data, adjusted it each year. So it's no longer that flat stipend that they did back in 2018, whenever it started. Now it is based on hourly.
Okay. So I'd like to know if there is a connection to retention of employees because of that at working at Coronado. Has that been examined at all?
It has not. It is an interesting point.
If you could do that.
I could work with maybe HR on a way to survey that, or.
And I don't want to create additional work, but I mean, you know your staff, so who has been around that since then? And see if it's been worthwhile investment in retaining employees. I liked that these additional AP classes were added. That has been something that has been really important to me in enhancing that equity for all of our students to excel. And so I was thrilled to see that. And in addition, the percentage of students passing those tests has also gone up quite significantly. So I appreciated seeing that. And then a huge celebration is those site leaders that have made extra efforts to embrace the community they serve and having these family engagement events, because the schools can be the center of a community if we allow that to happen. And that's super important in this day and age, I feel, to make sure that we are really extending our and inviting people that live in our community to send their kids to our schools. There was a conversation before about Mr. Patzloff. When I saw him today, I was thinking about this and the efforts that the staff did down at Navajo to try to increase enrollment and getting out in the community. And I realize it's not just building administrators, but it's the staff members that work with students that are also participating in those family engagement events and getting out into the community as well, I think is super important. It's kind of that untapped potential. It's extra work, but maybe there's a way to encourage that is a standard practice in Scottsdale schools moving forward to improve that participation and engagement, because teachers can't do it alone and kids can't do it alone, and we need the parents to engage in their kids' education for them to be successful. So thank you for all those efforts to bring in the community. And that's really all I have right now. I will be reaching out to a few of you with some very specific questions, but out of consideration of time, I'll send you a message independently.
Thank you all. And with that, we're going to move to the consent agenda. I move to approve the consent agenda as amended. Do I have a second?
I would like to second that.
Board Member Sanowski seconds the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. So now we move on to action items. We're going to start with the poll. Yeah, we're going to start with the polled consent agenda item J, approval of Northern Arizona University NAU Memorandum of Understanding MOU, Arizona Teaching Residency AZTR. President Hart-Wells.
Thank you, Vice President Lindsay. I would actually like to ask Mr. Buzan to please come to the podium. The board had received a clarification about this item several days ago. I wanted to make sure that the board had an opportunity to ask any questions and that there weren't any lingering questions. So if Mr. Buzan, if you could just briefly outline the facts of why this agenda item is appearing this evening, and then an opportunity for anyone to ask any questions.
Yes, ma'am. The agenda really should read amended and restated agreement. This is not a new agreement. This is the same agreement that this board approved on April 18th of 2023, absent a couple of changes. It was not executed. NAU never finished their part of the bargain, which is to have it reviewed and signed by their risk and contracts department. And so when we went to process part of the agreement this year, we got notice that it couldn't be processed. I have no doubt that it will be processed. But the reason we're bringing it back to you is because NAU had requested a couple of edits to the agreement that we had originally, or that the board originally approved. In my experience, I thought that the edits were substantive enough that I would rather the board go through the process of looking through them and approving them. Although it's my opinion that they're not overly substantive and really not much changes. That's why we would refer to it as an amended and restated agreement. One of the specific changes that was made by NAU has to do with the roles and responsibilities of the parties. Prior to the agreement that was approved in April of last year stated Arizona K-12 Center, and then it listed out the roles and responsibilities. Now it says shall. So that is legally speaking, it adds a little bit more weight to it with the shall there. But ultimately the roles and responsibilities are the exact same. And so substantively, I don't think that changes the thrust of the agreement. Some of the other edits had to do with just adding NAU. They're relatively minor. Something like this, adding NAU before K-12 Center, I probably wouldn't have brought this back to you for reapproval. But with that shall difference, I thought that was substantive enough that it needed to be reapproved. And also, they had an issue with the district's purchase order and terms and conditions. There was paragraphs 14 and 15 that NAU did not think were relevant and didn't want to be included. I looked at them. They're not relevant. They have to do with goods. This is a contract for services or a memorandum of understanding for services, not goods. So it's fine making that change and accepting the paragraphs 14 and 15 from our terms and conditions. So that's why you're here. That's why I'm here asking you to approve this a second time. And I'm told the program is working well this year. There's going to be discussion for a reapproval potentially next in the next few weeks. But that's really outside of what we're here to do today. So I'm here for questions.
Board Member Carney?
Thank you. I thank you, Dr. Hartwells, for pulling this off so we could ask a couple questions on this. And I'm wondering did NAU hold up their end of the bargain on paying for half of our program coordinator for this school year?
I think that's the gist of why we had to make sure that the contract or the MOU was executed, was that we submitted an invoice to have that paid, and NAU wasn't able to do that. So all they asked was to have this executed, and then they asked to have these edits also. So I think that's going to be in process once it's approved by both parties.
Okay, and what is the cost for the program coordinator right now for the district?
I actually did not look at those details. I think somebody else might be more appropriate to
I had
answer that.
emailed that question, but I did not receive an answer.
President Hartwells, Ms. Carney, we received your email last night. We're unable to respond, but got the information just before the start of tonight's meeting. It is a 0.5 FTE position to support the residents in the program. That supports the half of the salary of the teacher on assignment. So it's approximately $33,000.
And NAU is supposed to cover half of that cost? Or is that our half of the cost?
My colleague, Dr. Dodds Karen, is going to help me on this one. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Hartwells, Board Member Carney. The way the MOU reads is that we are to, based on the number of residents that we have, having 4 to 7 residents, the Arizona Teacher Residency requires that we have a part-time coordinator. So we have utilized a vacant staffing that we had in some Title II for a 0.5 part-time coordinator. And the allocation that we receive via our invoices is we invoice twice a year for $12,500. In all, $25,000.
Okay, thank you. And who is our program coordinator?
Our program coordinator is Becky Williams.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Stanowski?
Mr. Buzan, I know how you guys like to wordsmith in your profession, so I have a question for you. As I read shall, it means it's optional. Are we intending that to be will versus shall, which could mean they can or they cannot, as I read it?
Shall under this term would be that it's a mandatory role and
So
responsibility.
shall would be will.
Yes, I think that's
So
appropriate.
to close that door in any discrepancy of, it says I shall, but is that leaving room for someone to say, I'm not going to do it?
I think the better synonym would be must.
Sure.
They must do it. So these are the roles and responsibilities that each party has, that they are required to fulfill that role and responsibility.
Okay.
That's my interpretation
Okay.
of
And
the agreement standing
did-
here today.
Did that request come from NAU?
Yes, it did, and that's
Is their intent to fulfill it? Those requirements when it says shall?
I assume so, based on the fact that they're the one that requested them and are asking us to agree to them.
But they didn't.
Well, they didn't execute the agreement.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that there's been any discussion of failure to perform, but they didn't sign the agreement. So
Are they still intending on paying for a portion of that position as originally expected?
I have no reason to think otherwise.
Okay. All right.
Board Member Werner?
Yes, thank you, Vice President Lindsay. Two things. So Ms. Dodds just said that we bill NEU 2 times for $12,500, and they are paying half of this position. So does that mean that this coordinator is paid $48,000 or $50,000?
No, the total cost for this half-time position is $33,000, and NAU is paying $25,000 of that $33,000. That's how I understood that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
President Hartwells, do you have any questions?
I do not have any questions. I just want to confirm, because this was actually the reason I wanted to pull, was so that folks could get their questions answered and just clarify here. The effective date of this MOU, Mr. Buzon, could you give the date of the effective date of the MOU?
Well, I wasn't here negotiating this agreement when, last year, but it's my opinion that both parties are intending to enter this agreement as stated, as we agreed to last year. For all intents and purposes, everything has, NAU's committed that most of their shalls other than executing this agreement. And SUSD has performed its shalls. And so it would be our position that the agreement that you're being asked to approve would be for the same scheduled time as was approved last year. There is no specific language to the executed agreement as you're asking about, Dr. Hartwells, but we would ask the signatory from NAU to date it as now, and we just haven't added any additional language there.
Is that something that perhaps we should, that may address some concerns of this performance by the district under this MOU that may not end up, we don't want any gaps in the time frame. So just in the spirit of an amended and restated agreement, having an actual as of for the school year of 2023 to 24, which I believe was the intent previously, correct?
Yes, let me just see if there's anything in the agreement here.
Yeah, I didn't see that, so it looks like it's signature dates.
Yeah, in the program summary, in the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 bullets down, it says this MOU will last from the date of execution of this MOU until June 30th, 2024. This MOU may be renewed and may be revised or modified by a written addendum signed by both parties. Perhaps a motion would be in order to amend this agreement to include some type of language that you're referring to. Instead of date of execution, maybe original start of work date or something like that.
I would support an amendment in that 4th bullet point from the date of execution and remove that date of execution to either a date certain or the date that the costs were incurred by the district, where the district started to perform. We want to make sure that those costs are reimbursed as outlined in this MOU. And I too am not assigning a motivation here at all to NAU or their program. We just want to make sure that this is clear.
Yeah, I totally agree, Dr. Hartwells. perhaps the language to delete date of execution, or to hear a motion that would be a motion to amend the agreement in that fourth bullet point to delete date of execution and add the beginning of the school year.
Okay.
Vice President Lindsay,
Board Member Werner?
thank you. I'd actually like the motion to table this item until the next meeting so we can get all these little amendments solidified and then reviewed as a whole at our next meeting.
I don't think we need to table it. We just need to make sure that it starts on the dates that we originally approved it to start. It'll only delay reimbursement.
I made a motion, so.
Do I have a second?
It hasn't been seconded.
I'm aware of that.
So this will only increase the liability of the district if we table it. And I'd like to make a motion that the bullet point under program summary is amended to remove date of execution and replaced with start of the school year 2023-24, and otherwise approve this amended MOU.
I would like to add something to that amendment if possible. I mean, we approved that on April 18th of 2023. That should be the execution date.
But the performance by the district, the obligations, I appreciate that in that you pulled that date, actually, thank you. But the costs incurred by the district and the expectations of both parties to perform would have been for the school year, right? Is that why, Mr. Buzan, you recommended the start of the school year
Yes.
as date of approval?
Yes.
Okay.
And I
Ms. Carn, oh, sorry.
SUSD fully expected NAU to execute the agreement, by now, which is why it says date of execution. That's when the agreement would be fully executed.
Yes. This is unusual. Obviously, this won't happen very often, but we just want to make sure that we do one fix and one fix only. So, Ms. Carney, does that help? And
Yes, that's
kind
fine.
of put some context?
wanted
Okay.
the exact date that was approved.
But if it's the exact date that is approved, that means that the district would be required to be performing during a window in which was not intended. When we approved the MOU, it was to be performed for the school year, the upcoming school year, not the one we were in when we approved it.
Okay, I do I mean, I do think Ms. Werner is correct. We should have the correct information in front of us when we're voting on something, and right now, we do not.
We have it in front of us. This is it. This is the agreement they want us to amend and restate. So an amend and restate means everything stays the same except for what you're looking at in the amendment, meaning the state of the beginning should stay the same. It is unfortunate this date of execution is in here because it doesn't tie to the signature block at the bottom. But we can amend to approve so that the district is not sitting without its reimbursement. If we table this, it will only extend the district's liability.
We can, Vice President Lindsay?
Board Member Werner?
Yes, so my motion, I'm going to stick by my motion to table this, and we can come back and do a Zoom approval, but I would like to have it retyped in front of me. This, amending legal contracts from the dais isn't always the best. Typically, we have things in front of us complete so that we can all feel comfortable. And I by no means want anyone to get held up in getting payments, but I would think that 24, 48 hours would be just fine. So I stand by my motion.
We haven't had a second for either motion yet.
I would like to make a second for the motion of adding the date of, for this school year, to make it applicable for this school year, so we get paid accordingly. I believe that was Dr. Hartwell's intent.
That was my motion, and that was at the right council's recommendation to replace date of execution with the start of the school year.
I have Board Member Sanowski seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Now we move on to action item 9A, approve employee contract language and listed benefits for school year 2024-2025.
Assistant Superintendent Alexis Wilson will answer any questions the governing board has with respect to the updated contract language that's in front of you, along with the listed benefits for 24-25.
Good evening, President Hartwells, members of the board, Dr. Menzel. You have before you employee contract language and listed benefits for school year 24-25. There are documents that have the red line to show what was edited or revised for the upcoming school year. There is one new contract for the upcoming school year. That is a certified new hire contract. The language in that is similar. The only difference in that language is that new hires would have 5 days to return their contract in an effort to recruit more expeditiously, if you will. All other teachers would still have the 15 days to return their contracts. Additionally, I mean, the only other change that is substantial would be the removal of the results-based funding language that was previously in there due to the sunsetting of those funds. And you have both the clean line and the red line versions in front of you. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Board member questions. Board Member Werner?
I don't have any questions.
President Hartwells?
No, Vice President Lindsay, I do not. Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Board Member Carney?
Oh, sorry. I do not have any questions.
Okay. Board Member Sanowski?
Just to clarify, Ms. Wilson, the certified teachers have 15 business days, and the new hire is 5 calendar days.
I believe it is correct, 15 business days, so those would be days that we are in session.
Yep.
And I can check on there, but I would probably give the 5 business days as well for the certified new hires, but let me pull that one up. Sorry. I have lots of these, sorry. Or if IT is able to bring up that one, that would be great. Sorry, I'm missing that contract in my.
I have it up,
Say?
and it says 5 calendar days.
Ah, thank you. Then that would be 5
Is that
calendar
the
days.
intent, to have 1 calendar and 1 business?
It is for the purpose of recruiting
Okay.
and more
Nope,
expeditious. Thank you for
Yep,
pointing
yep.
that out.
Yep. Thank you for providing 20-some contracts for us to evaluate.
Thank you.
I move to approve the employee contract language and listed benefits for school year 24-25. Do I have a second?
Second.
Board Member Sanowski seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Next up is item 9B, approval of one-time compensation of $1,000 prorated by full-time equivalency, FTE for employees in 24-25.
I'll take the lead on this, Vice President Lindsay, and 9B and 9C have some overlap. So by way of background, in the budget process for last year, there were some significant changes at the state level. One of those changes was the elimination of results-based funding. The commitment that was made by the legislature and the governor was that districts that were recipients of results-based funding would be held harmless. So with the surplus that the legislature had at that time, some of the money that we received in one-time funding was to replace what we lost in results-based funding. There were some other things that were included in that calculation, but the total amount of one-time funding that we received in this budget year was $5.4 million. Board Policy HA outlines the process that we use for meet and confer with respect to how district resources are allocated in support of our staff, particularly as it relates to Strategic Plan Goal 3, relating to attracting and retaining talent. So through the IBN process, there were conversations with the Scottsdale Education Association, the Scottsdale Support Professional Association, and the Scottsdale Administrator Association, and the management team to talk about the utilization of these one-time dollars. So what you have in 9B is part of what was reached as an agreement via consensus process with all three groups and the district bargaining teams. 9C will be the same thing, and we'll go in a little bit more detail on that. So 9B represents about 3.4 million of the total amount of the one-time funds. Because they're one-time funds, we're not putting that on the base because that would be an ongoing obligation. So it's recommended that it's a $1,000 payment prorated by FTE, payable in early October of next year. That date was selected because for our classified staff, there are many of those individuals who don't get a paycheck during fall break. And so it was designed to ensure that we're meeting an additional need. So there was conversation with the three bargaining groups and the district leadership to come to this recommendation. And so we're bringing it forward for governing board approval this evening. It's not the end of the IBN process, but it was a commitment with respect to those one-time dollars that we reached consensus on, and we wanted to be able to make that commitment to our employees at this time.
Board member questions? Board member Sanowski?
What is the total cost to our district for that $1,000 per employee?
$3.4 million.
So you did, thank you for clarifying too, Dr. Menzel, that the IBN has not been completed. So is it accurate to say that that lawsuit that we benefited from as a district with the DAA resulting in $12 million in capital, so if it's 3.4, it's possible we can come back to this and pay stipends in addition to this approval?
So I think we're talking about different variables related to the budget. So there's no DAA money here.
Right, I'm saying that was a result of it?
No, this was not in any way connected with the DAA. This is one-time money from the current year appropriation from the legislature. So we have $5.4 million in one-time funding that SUSD received. We met with our bargaining groups to talk about how we utilize those funds. The 9B and 9C are the recommendations of that collaborative process in terms of how we use that one-time funding. Our other budget was based on what the appropriation was and what the governing board approved at the end of June last year.
Okay, so is this all said and done, or is it possible?
No,
that-
this is not an all said and done. So this is an incremental progress towards next year's compensation, but we have not finalized the collaborative bargaining process with respect to other pay increases. This is designed to address part of the compensation and benefit structure, but not the total.
So why is this coming to the governing board
Because
now?
we have reached consensus on these two things. 9B is important because it's utilization of one-time funding from this year's budget that will benefit our employees in October of next year. So it's a commitment that we want to make so that people know that those resources have been allocated to support our people, not money that's going to go into the bank, not money that's going to go to some other purpose. It's going to go to support our staff in Scottsdale.
So we're going to invest in people, not things.
That is correct.
Thank you. And thank you for clarifying that because those two issues were already agreed upon through the IBN process, moving them out of the way and continuing to move forward is what we're doing.
That is correct.
Okay, because this is not
It's not done.
This is final.
No. This is
Thank you for clarifying
incremental
that.
progress, yes.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Menzel. That's it.
Board Member Carney?
Thank you, Vice President Lindsay. So I have, okay, can I just clarify, didn't we receive 5.5 million from the state, and we're spending 100,000 of those funds on an employee compensation study?
That's correct. So 5.5 was received. 100,000 is for the compensation study, and then the 5.4 is what was left to be able to use for the IBN process.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Two questions. Was it ever discussed to use this money to pay for all of our reading and math specialists for next school year, since we've heard that they might be cut? Was this discussed?
Board Member Carney, that was not something that was brought up because, again, it was a one-time funding source. So putting something that's a salary into it or a position into it causes a create issue of the following year. Then we'd have to address that. Do we find another source at that time, or do we make that cut? So it really became we didn't talk about an option that was positions because we knew it was only one-time funds.
Right, but our reading and math specialists were paid by one-time funds anyway, so I just feel like maybe that was an option that should have been looked at, since if that's what principals or schools are wanting, I would like to see that money had paid for our reading and math specialists, but I just wondered if that was part of the discussion. I also want to know, this is all SUSD employees? Does that include you?
It's all but one. It
All
does
but
not
you?
include me. That is correct.
So all cabinet level employees all the way down are receiving a stipend?
That is correct. Everyone except for the superintendent would receive this. It's similar in structure to the retention payments that we did under ESSER, but different because of the source of funding and different in terms of when we're allocating it.
Okay, and I lied. I said two questions, but I just want to piggyback. So how have we seen stipends actually keep our people? I know we just approved some employees that resigned that got pretty big stipends, and they're gone.
So I would say there are a couple of things. Many districts in the Valley are doing the same thing, and they have for multiple reasons. One, when you don't have a base increase in funding, you can't make a commitment to just raising the scale, because that creates a different problem. And so when you have one-time resources available, if you can put that in the pockets of your people, it makes a difference. The other thing that I think is significant here is this is not a percent across pay structure, but it is a fixed dollar amount, which means for our lower compensated people, this is a significant dollar amount and really important. The higher you are up in terms of compensation, the lower it represents in terms of a percentage. So this is essentially an equity payment to address the needs of all of our employees who have experienced cost pressures. When the district has those resources, as I've said to the presidents of the associations, we're not the bank of Scottsdale Unified School District. The investments we want to make is not into a financial institution, but we want to make it into our people. That's the reason for the recommendation, and that was reached collectively with input from our three associations and the leadership team.
Right. Well, I fully support supporting our employees. I'm just not sure that this is the right way to do it. Thank you.
Board Member Werner?
I don't have any questions.
President Hart-Wells?
Thank you, Vice President Lindsay. I do not have any questions.
I move to approve one-time compensation of $1,000 prorated by full-time equivalency FTE for employees in the 2024-2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Board Member Stanowski seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 9C, approval of one-time M&O dollars for medical insurance increase offset.
So we should have a PowerPoint presentation here. I'll move through it very quickly. I just want to give a little bit of history with respect to medical insurance in Scottsdale. Just as a reminder, we are a self-funded district, which means any of the costs that we incur, we have to find a way to pay for as a part of being self-insured. So in 2019, the administration at that time moved medical insurance to the self-insurance trust. There was a significant fund balance in that account, and the administration decided to provide insurance to employees on the high deductible plan at zero cost for the employee portion only, which meant that if you took the high deductible plan and you had family coverage, you had to pay for the family, but you didn't have to pay for yourself as the individual. And if you only took individual, then there was no out-of-pocket cost. Up until 2019, employees paid at least a small portion of their insurance. And I'm going to have to look at Shannon. This was a reduction of $180 to $300 annually per employee. That was the range of what they were charged for individual coverage?
No, it depended on if you were on the, at that time we had two high deductible plans. One was just under, we called the $1,500 plan, but it was a little less than that back then, and the $2,500 or $2,700 plan. At that time, you paid, depending on which plan you were on. So if you were on the 2,700 plan, you contributed $180 annually. If you were on the what is now the $1,500 plan, you contributed $300 annually towards those plans.
So there was some employee contribution to the health insurance for the individual, as well as if they chose to have family coverage. Can we go to the next slide, please? The fund balance was so large at the time that a decision was made to not have the employees pay a portion. So we can move to the next slide, slide 3. Oh, you're there, I'm not. I moved my computer. So there have been a number of things that we've seen unfold over the last few years, and for those who've been on the board for a period of time, you know that board member Beckman said when we did not increase the employee contribution to health insurance that our costs were going up, we weren't passing those costs on to our employees, and that at some point there would come a time where we didn't have sufficient reserves in the trust to be able to offset those increasing costs. And her concern at the time was that that would be an undue financial burden on our employees. If we'd done incremental increases each year over time, then that pain point in terms of the cost of the benefit would be less. However, because we were in COVID, because we didn't have other opportunities for the kinds of increases that kept up with the cost of inflation, there was a decision that was made to hold the line on those for multiple years. So now we're at a point where increasing cost, increasing inflationary pressures with respect to insurance, the fact we went to market and still couldn't really drive down those costs, resulted in a situation where the projected premium increase for our employees was going to be pretty significant for this coming year. Can we move to the next slide, please? So there are a number of things that we've been pursuing to address the high cost, to drive those down. Because if we can drive down those costs, that impacts what the premium that Kairos recommends we charge to employers will be. So the IBN teams reached consensus. I think the term voted is probably not appropriate because we reached consensus in those processes. It's not just a vote of recommending that $2 million of one-time dollars, that the balance of that $5.4 million we talked about earlier, be used to address the insurance cost. They also, and the team has worked to identify additional cost savings totaling about $800,000 for this upcoming school year. We have an employee wellness team that has includes members from different sites that meet bi-monthly, looking at how we can make being healthy convenient, making healthier choices. If you have healthier workforce, you drive down insurance costs as well because you have lower claims. I've heard from other superintendents who have really focused on the well-being of their employees, and they actually have year over year from last year to this year, they've seen no increase in their premium rates. So there are positive testimonials with respect to these kinds of efforts, and we've actually seen in the course of the last few months an increase of utilization of some of the tools that help employees make better choices in terms of where they can access their care at a lower price point without compromising quality. The Kairos Nurse Navigator team, that the bottom bullet point here, that has more than doubled. And by doing those things, we've actually slowed the rate of the cost increases, but there's still significant cost pressures. So the $2 million that's being proposed tonight here will be matched by $2 million that's being requested from the Self-Insurance Trust Board, and then the $800,000 savings. So if we can move to the next slide. From just an illustration standpoint, you see in the gray or the blue box, depending on how your eyes look at it, current employee monthly rates. then the employee rates with no infusion of additional resources and a 7.5 increase, you can see what the increase for individual and family coverage is if we don't do anything. These are the kinds of numbers that were reviewed by the IBN teams before they reached consensus. And there was not just one meeting, there were a couple of meetings with respect to the recommendation to utilize the money this way. That additional $2 million wouldn't provide another $1,000 in the pockets of every employee. It would be a smaller amount. And so the recommendation from the collective bargaining groups was that insurance is important to our families. If we go to the next slide, slide 6, you can see with the infusion of the $4.8 million and the assumed 7.5% increase, we significantly reduce what that impact is on our employees. It's not no impact. There will be some increase in cost. So if you're on the high deductible plan, $1,500, and you were paying nothing for that coverage, under these assumptions, you'd be paying $75 a month. So that is an increase. It's an out-of-pocket cost. But it's not, if you go to the prior slide, it's not the $313 per month that you would have been paying without that subsidy. So the administration and the collective bargaining groups feel strongly that the health insurance part of our compensation benefit is an important, valuable offering for our employees, and that we have some one-time resources to be able to address these costs. And then I think the board knows that we've been working on longer-term strategies with respect to can we get the legislature to approve allowing the district to buy into the state's coverage. We continue to look at ways to drive down the cost. At the end of the day, health insurance, particularly full family coverage, is really expensive. We want to find ways to make it less expensive without compromising the quality of coverage. This proposed solution that we're asking the governing board to approve is one way to do it for 24-25. Our work won't be done on this, but it will move us forward in a positive way should the board approve it.
Board questions? Board Member Werner?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
President Hart-Wells?
Thank you, Vice President Lindsay. I don't have any questions. I want to thank Dr. Menzel for putting together that presentation. I think the quantitative information was very helpful to drive home the point and the value to the staff, and appreciate all the work that went into arriving at what is probably a difficult decision there. But I appreciate all the hard work, and thank you again, Dr. Menzel, for leading that conversation.
Board Member Carney?
Thank you. I have heard from teachers who would like to see this money allocated toward a teacher payout. Was there ever talk of that? Because only 71% of our employees use the district insurance.
Board Member Carney, yes. We asked each IBN group to select 2 people from their team to kind of be part of what I would call an insurance committee, to look at what are options, what are ways we could save dollars with maybe changing plan designs. Do we want to implement a wellness team? Those types of options. We did not discuss specifically payouts for if you don't take our insurance. One of the key focuses within that meeting was really looking at how can we save for next year, and then continue to look at, are there options? So one of the things we talked about is a wellness plan has great benefit to it. However, that also has a cost associated with doing that. And so the intent for next year was, what are the things we can do that will bring down costs? And then what can we address moving forward with looking at, do we do options for folks that don't take our insurance, or wellness type plans to incentivize people to do certain things for their wellness. So the focus really became shifted to how can we save dollars, knowing that there's more work to look at moving forward.
Okay, I do think it's a conversation that needs to be had, because there is talk from employees who can't even afford our district insurance, and they have their own insurance, and they're paying very high premiums in this inflation, and they feel that this is not equitable for them. And like I said, only 71% of our employees do have that. So I think it's a discussion that needs to continue, and see how we can support all of our employees and not just the ones that are taking our benefits. Thank you.
Board Member Sanowski?
Has there been any conversation about potentially using some of the projected 10% carry forward to decrease these rates even more?
Board Member Sanowski, we have not discussed that. Doing so would mean that we have less for budget the following year. And so part of that with the carryover dollars is that if you don't basically keep that at that same level, then the next year you're really coming in at a deficit because you don't have the dollars that you had the previous year to carry forward. I'm not sure if that's making sense, but
I understand the carry forward principle, but I think ours is high compared to other districts.
We're in the range of where we had set where we wanted that. We can definitely look at do we want to make that lower? Just keeping in mind that if we were to move forward with that for next year, then the following year we'd have a little bit more of a deficit when we looked at budget projections.
I have a question. Do you know if Kairos has a lobbyist?
Do you know if Kairos has a lobbyist? I would assume they do. Almost all insurance organizations do. I just don't happen to know whose theirs might be.
I do not know, but I can reach out to them and find out.
I'm just curious if we can ask them if they intend to lobby
Against?
our better interest of going on the state health insurance.
Yeah, my expectation would be that some of the other insurance companies might not be in favor of that. My interest and our interest collectively is how do we get the best benefit for our employees at the best price? And whatever it takes to get that, that's what we'll be advocating for.
With that, I move to approve one-time M&O dollars for medical insurance increase offset. Do I have a second?
Second.
President Hartwell seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 9D, substitution of school nurse to serve on sex ed advisory committee.
Good evening again, Vice President Lindsay, board members, Dr. Menzel and all. As a reminder, the SUSD Governing Board approved membership to serve on the Sex Ed Advisory Committee at the January 30th, last governing board meeting. Due to a change in circumstances, one of the committee members has indicated she can no longer serve in this capacity. Thus, the administration brings a recommendation to fill the position and role left by this member's absence by substituting a different nurse from the Coronado Learning Community, Nurse Leslie Sharp. She's currently serving at Yavapai Elementary, at least part-time. Ms. Sharp has served as a school nurse at various levels across SUSD for many years, and she participated in the development of the materials previously used to teach human growth and development in SUSD. She's indicated both an interest in and an availability to serve on this committee.
Any questions? Board Member Warner?
No, thank you.
President Hartwells?
Thank you, Vice President Lindsay. I do not have any questions, but I want to thank Dr. Benson and all the work of the staff. And the committee is meeting tomorrow and want them on behalf of the whole board to know that we fully support their work. And thank you for all your efforts and for Ms. Sharp for stepping up in this critical and important role.
Thank you.
I move to approve substitution of school nurse to serve on sex ed advisory committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Board Member Sanowski seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
With that, we move to 9E, 68th Street and Oak, formerly Tonalea Elementary School Campus Facility Improvement Proposal.
We want to be sure that you are awake at the end of the evening, and so we saved the best for last. Does that work, Dennis?
That works. Well, I'll try and get through this as quickly as I can. I was back there debating how much history I was going to go through and all of that, and I figured that the best thing to do would just cut to the chase. You've had the packet, you've had an opportunity to read it. So the bottom line is the administration would like to revisit that 68th Street property and look at turning it into a youth sports facility, community resource, and it only works if it is for facility rentals. To develop the property, it could cost us between 1.2 and 1.5 million dollars. That's my target anyways. And without earning revenue on that property, what's the use? We've had a lot of options over the years with that property. We could have sold it. We made a commitment many years ago not to sell it, that we wanted to retain our property. We could develop it as affordable housing, but once you build the house on it, then it'll never be a school again, or never have the opportunity to be a school again. So as you can see from the picture, the grass is already in really good shape. I think that we could probably open it up for rentals once we have the board's approval and the community's approval in a very short amount of time. The design of the building, the small building that remains on the property, would take a little bit more time, and then obviously the construction for that. That would be our most expensive cost, but I think it could definitely serve as a community resource to develop that building. So in the packet here, I've provided for you the December 12, 2023 decision-making rubric that was approved by the governing board as part of our strategic planning goal 5.1, one of our KPIs. And so basically runs through that decision-making process, and each slide just informs the board that how we're looking at this and how we're qualifying this through that process. So while this proposal is not an educational facility, we all know that sports and classroom success go hand in hand. It's very important in my mind that this is a youth sports facility. When we were working with Phoenix Rising some time ago, that's what they were targeting specifically for their youth soccer program. I think it has opportunities for a lot of other sports to be able to be served there, as well as opportunities for the community to use that park. I shouldn't have called it a park. I don't want it used as a park because parks turn into dog poop. And I don't want that for our facilities. But we do want to make sure that our folks in the community have some use of it. One area of need that I am very much aware of at our high schools is sand volleyball. It's something that has gained some real traction, and I know that all of our high schools are going to city parks to use their sand volleyball courts. So that'll be one area of focus that we'll look at for this property to make sure that all of our high schools have some place to go to be able to practice and play and do tournaments. As you all know, all of our campuses are pretty well landlocked. They're full. So adding sand volleyball is a bit of a challenge. So that's one area of focus. Like I said, I'd like to develop the building as a community building, something that people can rent and have parties, and not alcoholic parties, but parties nonetheless, birthday parties and other activities, celebrations that they might not have close by that's absolutely affordable. So moving forward, we've got to do a few things. We've got to get an architect on board and make sure that we can get this design process going, because the building is currently, if you've been by the property, a shell. There's literally nothing to it. Masonry, a roof, and that's it. There's no electricity in it. There's no water in it. There's nothing. It is a shell. So that'll have to be fully developed to get that going. We need to go back to the community. We've done a really good job, I think, making sure that our visioning process has been on point, making sure that we're talking to the community. There was a point that this community was very excited about the prospect of Phoenix Rising developing it and getting the wellness path and all of that. Unfortunately, that never came to fruition. So we're going to go back to that community, ask some questions, make sure that we're going forward. We are not looking for, at this point, other opportunities. We're not looking to lease it. We know what our assessed valuation is. It is very expensive. And so we are not looking for a new partner to develop the land for us. This is something that we are looking to take on ourselves. We obviously need to look at the building for constructability, make sure that nothing's falling apart since we first demoed the rest of it, and make sure that it is able to be fully developed. We do have some sustainability options to look at. Obviously, it's flood irrigated, and that is a wonderful source of easy water. It's inexpensive water, although some might argue that it is wasteful water, but we'll make sure that we're flood irrigating it appropriately. Then we have the solar panels, the rest of the solar panels. Earlier in the agenda, you approved on consent the Cocopa solar project that only uses up a portion of the Chaparral solar panels that we've recently purchased from Sundial. And so we'll look at that as a consideration if we can power that building with the solar that we have left, put some shade canopies in there, make it more user-friendly during the warmer months by adding shade to the property. So that's something we'll consider. And then finally, we really need to make sure that our use is not overuse. Grass can only grow so much. And when you put lights on a field, that grass gets beat to nothing in no time. If you go to Mojave and look at that field, it's overused. Its lights are on until 9 o'clock every night, and it just gets brutalized, and there's just no way we can grow that grass. We get a little bit in July, and then by October, it's all dead again because it's just been trampled. So we want to find a balance and make sure that that facility stays a facility that people want to go to, that people are attracted to make sure that it's not only great for the community, but great for the users. So the existing structure, 2,385 square feet, built in 1958. We wouldn't have saved it back then if we didn't think it was savable, but it did have a reason that it was saved. There's a mosaic on the side of it that meant a lot to that community years ago, and I think it still means a lot to folks. So we saved that building, and we're fully intending to redevelop that building. There are some ADA compliant issues that we'll have to deal with, sidewalks and making sure transitions from parking lots to the sidewalks to the fields all can happen and are ADA compliant. It's a 10-acre property, so there's plenty of land there. And I think we've kind of charted out that there would be 3 rentable turf fields, that we would have space for 4 sand volleyball courts. The basketball courts would remain. The play structure would be improved. There's a sand area where the swing set is, that will improve that swing set. And then we'll find a way to make it both community, user-friendly, easy access, and somewhat restricted for rentals so that we don't get that crossover with our four-legged friends. There are no legal code requirement zoning issues because we are a school district. We have quite a bit of capacity to do what we want, when we want. We work with the city of Scottsdale. We're in plan review right now with our Desert Canyon Elementary project. And if we were to have gone by way of Phoenix Rising, that would have brought up some zoning issues and some different things because they are not us. And so they would have to comply with City of Scottsdale zoning, unlike the way we do. So I don't see any real obstacles in us doing this work. The only obstacle is the money, but we've sold properties over the years and we've got a little bit saved away. So we won't be using 2016 bond funds for this. This will be funded through our plant fund. So I think I've kind of covered this, but we need to get the help of a design professional. We need to go meet with a community. We need to get a contractor on board, and then we need to bring a final project back to you. As always, if I hit that $100,000 threshold, you'll be seeing me again to get approval for any contract, whether it's for the architect or or a general contractor, and then obviously the final plan. It is my hope that we can bring something back to the board in May and get this thing locked in. I feel that we will, if necessary, bring something back interim to get the field rentals going. But otherwise, I'd like to have that construction piece for the building itself underway in the summertime. So there's a project, and I don't know off the top of my head. I live out in Surprise, and there's a project that the city of Surprise did. I think they call it the Fields, that they just developed a building, parking lots, and grass. And it is absolutely gorgeous, and that's the model that I would like to use for this property here. So with that, any questions, comments? I would like just your approval to move forward with this project.
Board Member Sanowski?
Yay, I'm glad this is here finally. The community deserves this. This has been a long time going.
Yes,
We
it
were
has.
trying to put in something that had multi-use purpose, that backed away from us, and I appreciate this effort. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to use some of those ideas in this, because I think the community was pleased with that.
Absolutely.
So, yay, thank you.
Board Member Carney?
Thank you. I'm glad that you're involving the community, and wondering, do you know when you're going to have that community meeting?
I'm going to look at my calendar, talk to my wife, and see when the next day I can come out at night.
I mean, a time frame over the next.
It's going to have to be quick. So probably, if not the last week of February, absolutely the first week of March.
Okay, and how will you be communicating to the residents around there about that meeting?
I have a lot of connections in the community, but we will put it on our website. We will email all the folks that have previously been involved. We will absolutely blast everybody to let them know we're out there.
Okay, and can you just make sure the board knows when that meeting's going to
Absolutely.
be happening as well?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Board Member Werner?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
President Hart-Wells?
Yes, thank you, Vice President Lindsay. Thank you, Mr. Rayler, for the presentation and the proposal. I have a few questions, and I want to be very clear on what the approval is for this evening. First, you avoided, or you wish to avoid, the word park. What's the distinction?
So a park is an open area open to the public. And if we are going to rent the facility, then it can't be open to the public, because then the public would be there and the renters would get there and there would be conflict. So we have to create some kind of separation between the facility that will be used by renters and the facility or the portion of the facility that will be available to the public.
Okay, so be some hybridization in that.
Yes.
Back-end management of the facility would need to be created.
And if I thought about bringing the Phoenix Rising proposal, the graphic anyways, but then I didn't want everyone to get hung up on this is exactly what we're getting. But if you go back, and I can certainly send it to the governing board as a refresher, but there was a fence that designated the soccer fields. And outside of that fence line, there was a walking path with exercise equipment. So that was outside the secure area of the field, and that's something we'll try and imitate.
Okay, I recall that blueprint and what you're referring to, but I think it would be great to share with the entire board, because I think some of those conversations straddled the reconstitution of the board, so that might be helpful just for alignment. You mentioned 1.2 to 1.5 million is your cost estimate at the moment, or at this time. Is that all in with the design?
That would be all in with the design, yes.
Okay, and you mentioned using school plant funds?
Correct.
Okay, and so right now, I actually looked at the December report. So right now we have a remaining balance of 7.7 million in that plant fund, the 500. Is there, tonight, this kind of, I guess, a good segue into what the approval is, an approval for this feasibility or to actually implement on this proposal?
So the approval would be to authorize me to start moving forward. I didn't want to start down this path without you guys knowing about it and approving of it. If there was a feeling that we should develop this land as something else, or we should sell it off, or whatever the case may be. So I wanted to be crystal clear of the fact that this is what I would like to develop it as, and to start marching down this path. And again, as soon as I start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, I will bring those back to the governing board for approval.
Okay, all right. So tonight, the proposal is to approve moving forward with the proposal, putting some nuts and bolts together, some dollar amounts, hard numbers on what this renovation, I'll just call it a renovation, may look like. But it's not a request to approve a budget.
Correct.
And that's a question. I'm just clarifying.
Yes, absolutely. That's correct. Because 1.2 is a number I'd like to land at, but as we've all seen, construction prices have been absolutely hairy-carry. So I want to make sure that when I bring you the information, that it's rock-solid information.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ehler. I appreciate those clarifications. I think that was important. And I'm excited to see this next phase of the proposal. I have no further questions.
I move to approve the 68th Street and Oak, formerly Tonalea Elementary School campus facility improvement proposal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Board Member Sadowski seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Motion passes 5-0. So then we move on to governing board reports. Do any governing board members have reports they'd like to share? Board Member Warner?
No, thank you.
President Hart-Wells?
Thank you, Vice President Lindsay. I just wish, I want to wish a congratulations to all of our student achievements this evening, and in particular, our B spellers. I did attend the B spelling, and I want to congratulate our two winners, Nina and Adrian. I'm a terrible speller, so I'm always utmost respect for someone who can stand up there and spell hard words. I also, we've all been out and about in the community, and I want to appreciate and thank the board for taking time out of their personal life to be out and about in the community and talking with folks. And I think it informs the governance and healthy governance of the district. And I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Board Member Carney?
Thank you. Yes, so I also attended the district spelling bee at Coronado, and it's just such a great reminder of how great that is for the resilience and the confidence those kids had to get up there. I was so stressed by the time I left for those kids, and I was writing words down that I couldn't even spell, and that's what I do for a living. I mean, it's right. So it was very impressive and great to see kids putting themselves out there and experiencing failure, right, and what that looks like. So that was a great opportunity. And then I wanted to thank Mr. Williams, the math teacher at Tonalea Middle School, for inviting us all to the National Junior Honor Society induction ceremony. I was very impressed by the effort in the evening, and just wanted to call out all that he's doing for his students and school community, and appreciated being involved in that.
Board Member Sanowski?
Ditto to that sentiment with Bill Williams III. He did a great job. He even had a live or a little auction, silent auction thing going. So that was great, and that was a way to raise some money for the NJHS students over there at Tonalea. It's been a long time since we've given these reports. We've had MLK Voices. We had some great diversity champions from our own district share their families and their life stories, which was spectacular. We've had had the opportunity to join Dr. Menzel over in Glendale at the ASA school leadership presentation. The spelling bees, fabulous. Our staff does a great job with the spelling bee. They hosted also the regional spelling bee. So thank you to the staff members that helped put that together. Thank you also to many of our employees that participate in Scottsdale Leadership or have in the past. It was a pleasure for me to participate in their Education Day again this year. I think it's really important for us to be able to share some of the challenges and some of the great things going on in our district public schools. The East Valley School Board Consortium, I know Dr. Menzel mentioned this. We hosted it for the first time in, I think, 9 years. And our staff, again, did spectacular work welcoming superintendents and governing board members from across the valley. So that was fantastic. Chaparral Teen Town Hall. I would love if the governing board members got all of those dates sent to us for the teen town halls, because they are not afraid to share what their perspectives are and point of view. So I think that is very beneficial to us as a governing board to be able to hear what they have to say. The 70th Prado del Sol, it was great to see so many of our students and families and employees out there celebrating all the great things we do in Scottsdale schools. And then Board Member Carney forgot to mention Hope Tech out at EVET. They had a signing, inauguration of inviting people out to their housing development that they're putting together for foster young adults. So it is spectacular. The idea is brilliant, and it's nice to see work go from idea to actually structure that's going to help kids. So that was great. It's been a busy month, and I appreciate the staff and students that make it all worthwhile.
We'll move into future items. Do any board members have topics they'd like to request for future meetings? Board Member Carney.
Thank you. I have 2 items for future. I would like a discussion on the weapons detection systems for our schools. I have been asked to look into this for our schools as we're looking for ways to strengthen safety and security for our staff and students on our campuses. Other Arizona districts are using these systems, and I'd like for us to consider this as well. Second, I'd like a transparent, full report on the special education department, which includes the annual employee turnover over the past few years, and also our special education contractors and the amounts we are paying them and for what services, as well as what our plan is to transport our special ed students with the cancellation of Comtrans services. Thank you.
Board Member Warner.
Thank you, Vice President Lindsay. I'd like to have a discussion and information on the Title I pre-K program, which it may appear that we were misled on the December 12th meeting regarding the increase in tuition for that. And in my conversation with Dr. Menzel, he said that it had been charged like that prior to him getting here. So we really need clarification and a discussion on this for what we heard today from our own staff. Thank you.
President Hart-Wells.
I do not have any topics, thank you.
I'd just like to add a further discussion on sports classes and some other potential athletic issues that arose recently. And with that, we will move.
Wait, Vice President Lindsay,
Yeah,
I have one more. No, thank you. You reminded me. I would like to have a discussion on coach pay. So, and I want to, not just sports, but fine arts as well. I want to have a discussion on that and the sources that can be used to pay our staff that spends time with our kids after school so they can participate in the things that they enjoy.
And with that, we will move on to Section 12, dates of upcoming meetings. The next meeting will be Tuesday, February 26th, 2024, 6 p.m. Governing Board Retreat at Cherokee Elementary School Library. And then Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, 6 p.m. regular Governing Board meeting here at Coronado. And then we will have Learning Community Town Halls Thursday, February 22nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. Desert Mountain High School Library. Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, 6 p.m. Saguaro High School Innovation Center. And with that, I move to adjourn this regular meeting of the Scottsdale Unified District Number 48 Governing Board meeting. The time is 9:13 p.m. Do I have a second?
Second.
Member Sinowski seconds. The motion, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. This meeting is adjourned.